world, the importance of technology cannot be overlooked. The rise of smart cities facilitated by innovative solutions can be given by blockchain and cybersecurity. Friend, when we talk about the smart city, nowadays the number of smart cities has been increasing. We are talking about the smart cities. When the concept of the smart cities is coming, now it became the need of the hour. Because of the urbanization, the rural people are coming towards the cities. And when the urbanization is going very fast, we require to categorize in a very systematic way the population of the city. There cannot be a maze in the city. So for that, while doing the urban development, while developing or doing the urban development of the city, we have to look that the city has to be a smart city, which facilitates the person in doing all the activities. Whatever the activities we do from morning to evening, going to the office, then attending the meetings on online meeting, offline meeting, going by metros, engaging in different ways, and facilitating the people. It's a part of the smart city. So whenever the concept of smart cities came, so definitely the technology like blockchain and cybersecurity has automatically required to come into the picture. And this 1 week, your FDP and the deliberation and discussion which will took place in this FDP and the idea that will be shown on this particular platform will definitely comes with some newer idea which otherwise is the need of the smart city. Because as you know, because of the rising crimes in different areas, with the rising accidents, thefts, because of all this, we really require to make our city the smart city. And again, when we talk about the smart cities, then requirement of newer technologies definitely will come into the picture. And with this idea only, this particular workshop is organized by our HOD Leena Patil ma'am. I really congratulate the Department of Computer Science, the coordinators, Vijaya Balpande ma'am, and another coordinator, Namrata Ade ma'am, for taking the initiative for organizing this particular workshop at pan-India level and calling different experts from the field to deliberate on this particular topic, which will really lead into certain good conclusion. With this, I again congratulate all the participants and the organizers to have the active participation so that it will come with really new adaptive and size idea which will involve on the newer landscape of the pan-India. So with this my words, I once again thanks all of you for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's very great to hear you. Thank you so much for your inspiring words and for setting the tone of this wonderful week of learning and collaboration, sir. Thank you so much.
One thing remain, I officially declare that this 1 week workshop is open and inaugurated.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. As we move on through the program, I encourage each one of you to actively participate and share your experiences. I would like to reiterate that the purpose of this FDP is to empower each of you to contribute meaningfully to the development of secure, efficient, and resilient smart cities. This is an excellent opportunity for all of you to deepen your expertise, but also to build valuable connections and networks that will help you in your teaching and research endeavors. Now I request Dr. Vijaya Balpande ma'am, co-coordinator of this FDP, to propose vote of thanks. Ma'am, please. Vijaya ma'am.
Vijaya ma'am, खाना बनाने के लिए.
Balpande ma'am, please. Ma'am, you are not audible. FDP?
Whether ma'am is there? Namrata ma'am is there?
Sir, she has joined earlier, but I am not able to see her now. Wait a second. Ma'am, sir.
Namrata ma'am, you can do this on. You can do this. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you once again for being a part of this exciting journey. I look forward to a productive and inspiring week ahead, filled with learning, collaboration, and innovation. Thanks to Dr. S.A. Dhale, sir, Dr. Gajendra Asutta, sir, Leena Patil, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this FDP. We, as the participants, also will have a complete productive week with all the experts from learners, as researchers, as industry experts also. Thank you so much. Now we can continue. We are having our next session also immediately, sir.
Who is the next speaker?
Dr. Deepak Parashar, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Deepak, sir, has joined.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I have joined.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. To move on, we are having our first session on cyber threat intelligence in smart cities by Dr. Deepak Parashar, sir. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session. Sir is presently working as a professor and associate dean in the School of Computer Science and Engineering, Lovely Professional University, Punjab. He is having academic and administrative experience of more than 16 years. He is the associate IEEE member and also working on the accreditation aspects for the university. Presently executing his postdoctoral studies from Florida State University, USA. He has published more than 100 research papers in reputed national and international conferences and journals, including Scopus and SCR Index journals. He has published more than 20 patents and copyrights. He has edited books with good publisher like Elsewhere, CRC. Also, he is a CompTI Network Plus and EC Council certified professional. He is the coordinator for the Erasmus project named CS for All and visited several countries. His research interests include wireless sensor networks, soft computing, blockchain, machine learning, IoT, image processing, cybersecurity, and many more. He is involved in the review process of many SCI and SCR Index journals such as IEEE, Springer, Wiley, InterScience, etc. He is also an editorial board member of the recognized journals and serves as a technical program committee member and keynote speaker in reputed international conferences in India and abroad. So much to speak about you, sir. To move on.
Thank you so much, Namrata ma'am, for your kind introduction.
Sir, your commitment to education is really invaluable. It is a pleasure to have a meticulous and outstanding researcher like you to have, sir, with us.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Namrata ma'am. Especially thanks to Dr. Leena Patil. I know Leena ma'am for the last 2 years as a part of the project Erasmus for All, Cybersecurity for All. So I hope I'm audible, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I would like to thank especially the Priyadashini group of colleges, Dr. Leena Patil, and especially Dr. Vivek Nahuteji, and even Vice Principal, sir, Dr. Dhale, Principal, sir, everyone. And even the most important one, the attendees who are present over here right now in this particular FTP. So as the name of the FTP is very specific, like we talk about
सोनाली भारद्वाज बाइक बनकर
no issue. This particular FDP is more oriented towards like this blockchain and cyber security. And the topic which I'm going to talk about is about the threat intelligence, which is one of the important constraint, or I would say one of the important aspects which is being required in the smart cities. So I'm going to share my presentation, but I want that whatever who are the attendees, they are the main finals who are going to embrace this thing. So if you have any concerns, you're most welcome. You can give me the questions in the chat section. Even in the last 10 minutes, we can discuss your concerns also. I'm going to make this presentation very simple one. We're going to discuss about some real life examples as much we can. And some technical terms will be also the part of my presentation. But if someone is not knowing those things, I will try to cover up in a more simplified way. So let me share my presentation with all of you, that I can start with my presentation. So I want that in between, if you can even ask, and we can cover the things, we can ask the things. Even I wish that most of the things can be discussed and can be, and you are the one who are going to cover up the things in a better way. Let me just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my presentation. Give me 1 second.
और वो क्रीम रख
और पानी की बोतल तो वो बोल लो
जो पानी बोतल लगे
वही रखिए.
Ma'am, I have the presenter rights. Could you give me the presenter rights or living there?
Thank you.
Namata ma'am, could you check it out?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, now it is okay. Now it is okay. Now it is okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I hope my presentation is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope it is okay to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, my concern is very simple. Like, I'm going to talk about the cyber threat intelligence in smart cities. So, everyone knows about the smart cities. Like, as Mr. mentioned about, there is a need of concern right now because everyone wants to be digitized. We are moving towards this paradigm shift for the last 10 years, I would say. We know in India, even there are a lot of states which are being given as a smart state or smart cities also being there. But again, a lot of concerns which have been there apart from the technology. The technology is rapidly increasing day by day. Like these buzzwords like cyber security, blockchain. Nowadays we are going to talk about there are a lot of things which are being there. We are concerned more about like nowadays technology like digital twins are there. Nowadays we have seen so many concerns, just like when we talk about cyber security, so many attacks which has happened recently, like which is very common nowadays, digital arrest. Everyone knows about this thing. Digital arrest is one of the concerns. Earlier we were having some online scams. But again, everything is being connected to, I would say, to this particular scenario. Why I'm talking these concerns? First, we have to make the stage like what is cyber security is all about, what is blockchain is all about, and how these technologies are making the cyber, you can say, making this smart cities one of the important aspects. So when I talk about the smart cities are the epitome of urban development. Like these are the technology is quite changing. There are a lot of things which are happening in the smart cities. So my presentation would be first we're going to start with the introduction to smart cities. What a smart city is all about. What is the structure? What is the infrastructure? What we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the cyber threat intelligence. Like when I talk about the cyber security is not merely like there is one notion in everyone's mind that cyber security means hacking. It is much beyond hacking. So cyber security is something like there are three things which makes a cyber security, I would say, in my words. The first thing is attack. The second thing one is the defense. And the third and the foremost thing is the reporting. Means if we need to know about the cyber security, we should know that what are the possible attacks or what are the possible, I would say, the ways by which the attackers or the hackers are doing the mischievous or malicious things. How they are compromising the system. So that one is the attack. We need to understand the mechanism which is behind the attack. The second thing is about the defense. Now attack is being happened. Now how to defend from those attacks? How we need to ensure the attack has never happened, or how we can mitigate those attacks. So that is the part of the second strategy. That is your your defense. And the foremost thing is that how to report, because many of us, we know that there's so many cyber attacks are happening. Sometimes we also may become the victim of cyber attacks. But again, we are not knowing that where to report. Are there some agencies or something where we need to report if we are being compromised? Or if there is any fraud or online fraud is being happened to me or to my near one, what could be the course of action? Most of the things are not being known to everyone. So again, there are so many legal aspects which comes into play when we talk about the reporting. What are the compliance that the organization need to follow for making a best cyber security policies in their organizations? What are the standards? Nowadays, we are going to if many of you might be knowing about, there is a one standard, there is DPDP, that is Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which is going to come very soon. It has been passed by the Lok Sabha on 7th of August, if I'm not wrong. And very soon it will be the part of, in the normal, I would say, or most of the organization, whether it is hospitals, banks, academic institutes, wherever we are talking about the data, where the data storage is here. They have to apply this particular DPDP Act. And very soon, maybe within the next 3-4 months, is going to be operational. We know that there is one protection IT Act 2000, which is normally being used in India, related to all the things which have been mentioned in that IT Act, related to crimes, the cyber crimes, the different IPC sections and different ways and what kind of different acts which could be happen. But there was no such foolproof, I would say, mechanism which was being there. It was missing for a long period of time. And DP is one of the acts which is going to be the, I would say, a game changer. So when I talk about this particular thing, we're going to talk about these acts also. The third thing which I'm going to talk about is integration of cyber threat intelligence
lot of things which makes smart cities work into functionalities. So when I talk about the smart cities, there are a lot of key technology in smart cities. Like we are having the smart grids for the management. We want a real-time data collection because we know that we have implemented some sensors to take the data from those devices and send the information for the processing. So again, the data gathering is one of the important aspects of smart cities. Again, the data is going to be fetched. The processing has to be done of the data. And sometimes we're using cloud systems or different types of cloud services, either public, private, or other cloud services we are using for storage and the processing of the data. But again, there's a challenge. When I talk about the cloud security or the cloud computing, again, the security is one of the prime concern of the data storage. So how are we going to make the systems, cloud storage, a secure one? Because ultimately, if there's some attack which has happened, suppose attack, you are disseminating that you are taking the data, sensor data from one particular traffic signals or traffic light system, and if the data is being compromised, then the whole functionality is going to be stopped because the wrong signal is going to be placed. So this is the intent of the attackers, that they are going to compromise the whole processing or the systems, and they are going to breach the data and making some changes in the data. The another thing which is very important for the smart city is the IoT applications. Means we are installing the IoT devices and they are connected and they are managing the flow of information. So how these things has been done effectively? When I talk about the IoT devices, which are the backbone for the smart cities, they are going to collect the real-time data or the traffic flow. Means we can take example like energy consumption or water level, even for the waste management. There's so many applications like air quality, water management. There's so many things which can be taken where the IoT devices are being utilized in the smart environment and in the smart city infrastructures. So the smart cities would have a smart infrastructure. They have the smart transportation system where using IoT and AI in other applications. They have the second concept I would talk about is smart grids for electricity, for efficiency of resource distribution. We have the smart buildings. We talk about a smart automated system for lighting, automated system for heating, for security. Means you know these things because many students are making the smart projects or smart IoT based systems. But ultimately, this is all about information, that how the dissemination of information is being done. There are two ways that the system can be compromised. One is the information can be compromised. Second, the device can be compromised. That is, so we need application security, we need device security, we need information security. When I talk about information security, we want that whatever the data which is being in communication, that must be secure. When I talk about the device security, whatever the devices which are being used, maybe IoT device, your laptops, your mobile phone, any servers, they should be secure. Or applications which are being running on those applications, on those devices or on those softwares, or I would say the software, that must be secure. So when I talk about the security or a cyber security, it will talk about application security, data security, device security. Another thing which is very important in case of the smart city is the data analytics. Means you have the data is being taken up, how to understand the data, because we are using a lot of technologies, techniques for analyzing the data. And one of the thing I would say is the big data. Big data means when the data is not small in size. It's not a data of 1 KB, 1 GB. When the data is being taken from a lot of thousands of millions of sensors, data is huge in potential. And when I talk about the big data would have 3 V's, means volume, veracity, variety. Data is not of similar nature, it is of different nature. The data is not of I would say a small in size, it is of larger size. So how to analyze this data, how to work on this data, even though we know that so many technologies or techniques are used, like Splunk is used or Hadoop is used. Some of you might be aware of these non-relational database management techniques for processing large amount of data. Still, there are a lot of things which need to be managed. So data is the prime concern, which we talk about in case of smart cities. Like when we talk about the smart cities, we also talk about the communication network. We cannot work on this 2G or 3G network. Nowadays, we talk about 5G, fiber optics, which are very important for fast communication of the information. Okay, so we need the data analytics, which I talk about. There are a lot of things which we need to talk about, like mobile apps, online platforms, which are being used by citizens to access the public services, for the planning, for the resource allocation, for giving their access, and everything is to be managed in an effective way. So when I talk about this one, when I talk about the cyber security, again with the cyber security, a lot of challenges which comes into play. because everything is okay. It seems very good. Like we talk about smart cities, but again, there are a lot of challenges which are being there while deploying the smart city infrastructure. Smart cities looks a very attractive target, I would say, for cyber criminals and cyber threat actors to exploit the vulnerabilities and to steal some information or some important information, I would say, from those particular data or from those particular devices. A lot of cyber attacks has happened in the last many years. Like one of them is the ransomware attack. So ransomware attack is that attack where you would say that the attackers are asking for some ransom. They're asking some for money. They are locking those infrastructure, they are locking those systems, and whenever you want to get the password to unlock your system, they would ask for the money. And this is a common attack which has happened in case of the smart city infrastructure also. So smart city infrastructure needs a lot of things. There are a lot of other attacks which has happened, like denial of service attack, DOS attack. Some of you might have given a simple example, like sometimes we are accessing some website, but it is not working. It is giving some error, like HTTPS error, site not found, or site not found, or forbidden gateway. I think some of you might have seen these kind of attacks. Most of the times we thought that it is because of the network congestion or some network failure is there, but it could be attack. This could be some attacker who has applied this denial of service attack. What happens in denial of service attack? The attackers or the hacker, what they want to do, they will make one machine a victim. They want to bombard that machine with lot of requests. And you know, when I talk about the CPU, they are going to process the request as per the concept of CPU scheduling algorithm, what we all know, like FCFS, round robin, and just we know about in operating system. So they don't have any mechanism to understand which particular request is legitimate, which one is fake request. They're going to process the request, and when multiple requests are being sent from a device to from attacking device or from a attacker to a victim machine, they're not going to process a normal request, and this is called denial of service. Means we want the service to be working in place, but we are not able to get the services because that server is busy with some processing of the other requests. But these are not the actual requests; these were the fake requests. So this is one of the denial of service attack which is being normally used to disturb the resources. And this is one of the common attack, I would say. But again, when I talk about the DOS attack, there is another form of attack which is called distributed denial of service, which is more devastating than denial of service attack, which is not a single machine from where the attack has happened. The attack has been originated from multiple machines. And you can imagine when the attack is not from single machine, from 100 or 200 machines, that would be a more devastating. So there are a lot of data breaches, a lot of attacks which has happened in the current scenario. There is another attack when I talk about in smart cities, device hijacking, data theft. This is a common attack. Like we know there are surveillance cameras, traffic signals, parking meters, other devices are there. So they can take the data and they can change the data later on and make some changes in the data. There could be some other attacks which could be there, like I talk about the second one, is the potential impact of cyber attack. What could be the attacks? What will be the impact on the cyber attacks? Because let's take as a human being, like as a user, if I know this smart city, this infrastructure is not well, it is not foolproof. So that will reduce the trust on that particular, I would say, infrastructure or those particular services which are being offered by that organization. We know that if we know that Google Pay is not secure at all, we are not going to use the Google Pay. This is the one simple example, I would say. So means the trust or the public trust or the confidence is one of the important aspects in daily life. And same is the case in case of smart city systems. There are a lot of financial losses which has happened because, you know, if we are using a surveillance system and even the traffic system is being shut down because of any data breach or any malicious attack, you can imagine that there's a lot of loss, financial loss will be there. Someone is going for some work, but they're not going to make up that work. A lot of things which could be there, a potential impact of the so many attacks, these attacks has been done. So when I talk about these attacks, there are some cases which has been mentioned over here, like this is a cyber attack on a municipal water treatment plant. One of the attack which has happened in case of in 2018, the city of Atlanta, where the hacker demanded a very huge amount of money in the form of bitcoins, because they have attack on the particular city infrastructures, and this was attacked in 2018. There's a lot of attacks or city breaches which has been happened in the last, I would say, 5 and 10 years. And because whenever we know that wherever there is information, whenever there is devices, there is always a scope for the attacker to compromise. So there should not be any vulnerability. If I talk about vulnerability, means let's take a simple example of vulnerability, which everyone must understand, and a threat. A threat is basically a potential risk. And vulnerability means when that threat is being exploited, that is called vulnerability. Simple language. Like suppose you have a home, everyone is having home, and if you're going outside, we always have a threat of bulgari, that there would be some bulgari in my home if I'm not here. That is a threat. But if you keep your door open or your gate open, there's always a vulnerability, a loophole which you kept for the bulgar to come to your home and do the bulgari. So this is the thing. So basically, when I talk about this one, a potential threat is called a vulnerability. And when this vulnerability is being exploited by attacker, it becomes attack. There's always a difference between attack and vulnerability. When that vulnerability is being exploited by attacker, by any ways, they're using some ransomware, they're using some malware, they're using some DOS attack, they are using some social engineering, or they are using any kind of way by which they are going to compromise the system, then it becomes attack or assault. So basically what we want to understand, that there would be a lot of things, a lot of challenges which are being there in case of smart cities, because there is always a vulnerability of IoT devices and sensors, because we are using the IoT devices, which are the foundation block for smart cities, and attackers can easily target these devices to gain unauthorized access, disturb the services, steal some sensitive information from those things. So again, what could be the reason? The reason could be insecure endpoints. We have not secured those devices. We don't have the endpoint security of those devices, which can lead to significant vulnerabilities, which can be exploited by the attackers. So a lot of things which is being done by the attacker. I would say another thing which could be like majority of the things we don't have the inadequate, I would say, security measures. We have many smart city projects, but we don't have any protections. Don't have any compliance standards what we are following to keep the security or the cyber security at the top level. So there are a lot of things which need to be worked upon. But first of all, we need to understand like what is about cyber threat intelligence. We came to understand something about the smart cities concept and what are the potential attacks which has happened. But another thing which is very important is to understand like what is all about cyber threat intelligence. What is cyber threat intelligence? Any idea? Anyone who can give me an answer that what this is cyber threat intelligence or something like how it can be done? Any idea? Anyone who want to add something like what is cyber threat intelligence? Any rough idea? I give you some idea like in the beginning of my presentation. So basically a cyber threat intelligence. Yes, please. If anyone want to share their views. So when I talk about this cyber threat intelligence, basically we want that if I'm just talking in context of the smart cities, which can help the smart cities to secure and I would say identify, prepare, and prevent the cyber attacks. So basically, when I talk about the cyber threat intelligence, first we need to understand we have to identify the threats. This cyber threat intelligence means this must be something that will be able to identify the particular threats. That would be able to identify the cyber threats, means information about the attackers, their motive, their capability, that must be known. If it is being known, then only we. Yes, please, Alok.
So anything related to having a structured way of analyzing and mitigating the risk related to cyber threat.
Definitely, Alok. Is a structured way how well the process by which we can mitigate the potential attacks. You truly said. It is basically cyber threat intelligence. So when I talk about this cyber threat, the first thing we should be able to identify the threats. So there will be some mechanism by which the threat identification can be done. The second thing would be there is that the preparation for the attacks means we must be able to mitigate those future attacks. We must be able to prevent the attacks. If we are not able to understand the attacks, how are we going to mitigate? How we can make the prediction that this could be the potential attack? This could be the potential vulnerability, which can be exploited by the attacker, and they can create some attack later on my resources, on my infrastructure. And second thing, and the last thing would be the action. So organization have to change their defense ways, their mechanism, so that they can secure their infrastructure from these particular attacks. So how are we going to understand? Let's start with this one, understanding the cyber threat intelligence. So when I talk about the cyber threat intelligence, It simply is mentioned that the information that can predict and prevent cyber threats. How we can find out whether an attack would happen, is going to happen, and if the attack is being there, how we are going to mitigate them. So it's not going to happen in the times to come. So we must have a strategic decision, what Alok has mentioned about, that how we can, I would say, make the decisions for making the cyber security into operational mode in case of the smart cities. And this is going to be a very important thing. A cyber threat intelligence cannot be done by simply using a tools. A lot of things which is being required to implement a cyber threat intelligence. It needs a human intervention. Everything cannot be done with the help of AI, machine learning, deep learning, or some other ways. A lot of human intervention is being required. A lot of human training, expertise is being required in order to deploy the protocols, applications, services in the, I would say, in a smart city environment. So there are a lot of types of threat intelligence. We talk about strategic intelligence, like we talk about here. We're going to call a specific threats. Like if you know that there's a particular threat from particular IP address or from a particular URL. Let's take a simple example of phishing attack, which has happened. You get a particular mail from particular source, but once you're not going to click that mail. If you're going to click that mail, you might be compromised, because that mail look like, say, legitimate mail, but that whenever you click that mail, the request is not going to an original service, going to a fake server. So there could be a lot of I would say this is called strategic intelligence, by looking at the details, micro level details like IP address, URL, DNS address. There's a lot of things which we can see to understand this the inner depth level of the means cyber attacks. The second thing would be the operational intelligence, means what could be the cyber threats and what could be their possible outcomes and how they're going to compromise the system. Another thing would be the technical intelligence, means this is called IOCs, means indicator of compromise. This I spoken about. Like you can talk about at depth level, means the IP address, the MAC address, the DNS, the virtual LAN, the port number, the port security, a lot of things which can be considered to understand.
Sir, we can use the monitoring and detecting tools like intrusion detection
Yes,
system.
yes, definitely, Srinivasi. We can use IDS, IPS to detect and monitor the traffic. And even I would say one thing which is being required is a SOC. I think you might be knowing about SOC, Security Operations Centers, SEAM. These are the things which are being used by the organizations. Not, I would say, because I was there in Europe, and most of the organizations I have listed, they are implementing SOC and SEAM, because this is the one thing which is being required. They told that I remember, like in last year, there was one attack in the month of July in the Croatia hospitals, and that was because of the major cyber attack where all the hospitals, because they have the smart city concept, all the functionalities were being stopped. But the question is how they are going to overcome those things. They have run the SOC services. What you're talking about?
Deepak sir, what is SOC? Could you
SOC?
please elaborate
Let me tell you. SOC is basically called Security Operations Centers. They're going to analyze the traffic which is coming to your network, what kind of requests which are coming to your network. Just like a firewall we are putting, it's just analyzing the traffic. But SOC is not just analyzing the traffic, it is doing much beyond things. Means whatever the operations which are being performed in a network, whatever the incidents, whatever the request is coming to your network, everything is being analyzed by these centers, by the persons who are deploying. These are called SOC analysts who are working in those organizations, and they're managing, they're seeing the traffic, types of traffic which are being coming to your network. They are introspecting the traffic and attacks. So that is SOC basically. So SOC services are being offered by some organizations, just like Splunk. Splunk is one of the good organizations which is worldwide providing these services to the organizations. Like any organization, any institute can take the services of SOC, but they have to pay a huge amount. If I would simply say, if I talk about an organization having 200 employees or 500 employees or 500,000 students, like take example of engineering college, and they have to provide the SOC services to their organization, means if their infrastructure is being secured, everything is being coming to the network, is being monitored 24/7. So they are charging around, I would say, 6 to 7 lakhs for 2 or 3 months. It's only for analyzing, but it varies from organization to organizations. So basically the SOC analysts are doing these kind of things. They are doing threat hunting and analyzing the traffic and to see the potential attacks and how to mitigate those attacks. This is one of the important things which we need to work upon. I think in India, we also need to work on the SOC systems. We have to deploy the SOC in most of the organizations. In the banking, I would say every sector has to deploy SOC based on how much critical is their data, how much data they have, and how much important is that data. If that is of critical nature, they have to implement the SOC applications. They have to use the SOC services. Like one company is called CrowdStrike, which is taking the SOC service, providing the SOC services also. I hope that I have answered your question.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So let's talk about this one. The sources of threat intelligence. There are a lot of things I was talking about. Like this, one of the important thing we need to work upon, because this is also one of the important concern of research also, that open source intelligence, human intelligence, signal intelligence, everything we need to work upon. Okay, and nowadays there's a lot of attacks which are happening. I was talking about digital arrest, one of the common attacks which is happening in the current scenario. A lot of other attacks which are happening, but most of us are unaware. So what the attackers are doing, they are analyzing, they are doing a deep study, and then they are creating, they are finding their victim on which they can easily launch attack. So a lot of things need to be worked upon in case of smart cities. When I talk about the cyber threat intelligence, because there are a lot of risks which are being there in case of smart cities. So basically, when I talk about the importance of cyber threat intelligence, what are the benefits of cyber threat intelligence? It enhances your cyber security paradigm, because once you have a cyber threat intelligence for your organization, I would say in terms of smart cities, where the infrastructure is being monitored, is being managed, less probability of being chances of cyber attacks would be there. And moreover, you can see a lot of APT attack, like advanced persistent threats are being there. It's not only the attacks which has happened. We talk about malware, ransomware, spyware, Trojan horse. These are very common things, very simple way. But we are going to talk about APTs, advanced persistent threat. These are the attacks which are being created, or I would say this launched by some black hat hackers. Okay, so they are launching those attacks, and one of the things which is very important to understand in case of advanced persistent threat, that the attackers are not concealing their identity. The identity of the attacker is not concealed to everyone. No one knows that attacker is a part of the network. And first, they are going to make the machine. They are going to create a victim. They are going to create a connection with that one. They are not concealing their information, and they are getting the information or fetching the information for a longer period of time from those particular source or the victim source, and they are providing the information to the particular recipient. So this is called advanced persistent threat, and this is one of the major, I would say, attack, where, because this is one of the challenge with the organizations also, because many of us are not knowing who is the malicious person or who is the malicious node in the network, and they are not concealing their identity. They are not saying that I am the attacker. They always they want to conceal their identity, and this is one of the advanced persistent threat which has happened in most of the organization, even in case of smart cities infrastructures applications. The second important aspect, which is importance of uh, this cyber intelligence, is the early detection of potential threats and vulnerabilities. If we have this threat intelligence or smart, this one, we have this cyber threat intelligence, we can have the possibility that we can detect the potential threats and the vulnerability, which I already told you what is a threat and a vulnerability. And we can do some analysis that how these vulnerabilities can be reduced, how I can make my system foolproof. These all things can be done with the help of cyber threat intelligence. And moreover, there would be one another thing which is a very important thing of cyber intelligence, is the incident response and mitigation. Means whenever any attack would happen, what we need to do, what is my next course of action, what I need to do, how I can manage that incident, where I need to respond. These all things will be the part of incident response and mitigation. Sometimes we call as disaster recovery and vulnerability assessment. So this is again one of the important aspects of cyber threat intelligence, or I would say one of the importance of your cyber threat intelligence, which we're going to deploy in the smart cities. So when we know about this one, smart cities, we know SDLC, everyone must be knowing about software development life cycle. I'm just going to the basics again of software engineering. We know there is always a life cycle, SDLC life cycle, requirement analysis. Everyone must be knowing these things, because we all are technocrats. We know that initial phases are there, then coding is there, then first of all we take the requirement analysis, then we do the coding, testing, implementation. These are always a number of steps which we are following. The same thing is case of a cyber threat intelligence. This is a cyber threat intelligence life cycle. First, we have to plan. Okay, what is my requirement? So what is the infrastructure which I need to safeguard? So what are my requirements? What kind of things which I need from those particular cyber threat intelligence? What are the services I want to take? So you have to prioritize your intelligence activities. You have to prioritize all your things. The second thing which would be important is once we prioritize, once we make a priority that these are the devices, these are the infrastructure I need to secure. The second thing would be the data collection, because the data has to be collected from those particular devices, from those particular IoT devices, maybe some other devices. Okay. So how this gathering of the information is being done, how accurately we can take the information, how processing is being done efficiently. The third phase would be the data analysis, because we took the data. So the inference or some inference need to be get only from the data. Okay. What are the patterns? What is data is talking about? Can we get some inference from the data? Are there any potential signals that this data is being compromised, or some anomalies? Can we able to identify the pattern? Can we able to make some, I would say, some notion, some solutions from those patterns by analyzing those things, getting some meaningful insights? Because these are very important to understand the information which is being exchanged in a particular smart city. So data analysis is one of the important concerns. But another thing, one of the most important thing is dissemination and sharing the feedback. What is my feedback report? What is the end report which I'm going to generate? That these are the possible potential vulnerabilities in your network. These are the potential attack which has happened to your network in the past days. So this is something just like a pen testing report. If some of you might be aware about pen testing, like if I'm creating one application, a web application, or you are making Android application, sometimes you have to do a pen testing. If you want to make secure your application, any website, you have to do a pen testing, so that the pen tester, they can check each and every module of the website, all your transactions which are going to a website, if it is a live website, and they can create a penetration testing report. They're using some tools like Burp Suite, Nmap, Metasploit, using Kali and other functionalities to create an end report of your website or any applications. What are the potential vulnerabilities? So this is a similar thing which is going to be there in the last step, that is dissemination and feedback. So basically, when I talk about in order to implement this cyber threat intelligence, there's always a procedure which is need to be followed in the organizations. Now, another thing which is important for us to understand, because how to integrate cyber threat intelligence in smart cities. We talk about cyber threat intelligence, look just like a fancy word. Okay. But what are the challenges? How are we going to integrate this cyber threat intelligence in smart cities? That is again one of the major concerns that we need to look forward. First and the foremost thing is that we have to create a cyber security strategies. We must identify that what are the critical infrastructure. Everything cannot be important for you, but something is more important than other things. So what are the assets? What are the devices? What are the aspects which we need to secure? Okay, you have to create a strong robust policies and protocols, because this is the thing what we see, that most of the times there are no robust policies. In India, I was talking about, in most of the organizations we are working upon, they're not following the security standards. Even I will talk about in America and Europe, they're having their own standard. They're having the HIPAA Act. Some of you might be knowing Health Information Protection Act, which is the major act which is in USA and Europe. That is, no data can be shared in terms of the patient records, their patient histories, their digital records of their diseases. So there's always a penalty if some data is being leaked for any reason. But there is no such stringent rules we have. We have the IT Act. I told you, we have the DPDP Act is going to be into functional very soon. And again, there is a huge penalty which is being imposed by the government of India, from 10,000 to even 2 crores to the organizations if they are breaching, they are not aware that DPDP policy or the DPDP Act, which is going to be functional. I hope so very soon, within 3-4 months. So again, we need those kind of policies, establishing policies for protocols. And this is one of the things. The second thing which we need upon is the platforms. What you're talking about, we need some threat intelligence platform. Either SOC is one of the solutions which I told to you. Another solution would be SIEM. SIEM. I'm going to talk about SIEM also. Even though definitely IDS, IPS, these are definitely defenders, network defenders, load balancers, a lot of things which we can do to I would say, to the platform which are used for implementing threat intelligence. But foremost thing I would say is the training of the personnel. Means many of the persons are not technically so much sound. How many of us we know about what are the critical infrastructure? How many of us we know that what are the compliance standards of cybersecurity, or what are the compliance standards the organization have to obey when we talk about the data protection? many of us are not knowing about the mechanism which are being used by the attackers to compromise the resources. So this is one of the things. The training of the personnel, the understanding to know about the cyber attacks, general awareness about the attacks is very important. Another thing which is important is about the real-time collection of the data. Because once you're going to collect the real-time data, then you will get the real instincts, real insights that what are the potential attack which has happened. And this is the one thing which is being there, I would say, in SOC, I was talking about, because SOC is doing the I would say, live analysis of the attacks, live analysis of the data. The another thing would be the continuous monitoring and analysis. Like 24/7 monitoring has to be required for your data to work upon. And if the monitoring is not being done properly, again, this is one of the challenge would be like you will not even understand that when the attack has happened and how your system is being compromised. So for that, definitely the devices, a lot of things is to be in operational mode for all the times in your system to make your system a foolproof. Another thing which we can talk about, like if you want to integrate your cyber threat intelligence in smart cities, is public-private partnership. Okay, you have to have a good establishment, good connections between the public and the private sectors. The organizations, the training of the officials, the training of the manpower, what are the different cyber defense exercises? Some drills has to be done. Like what could be the next course of action? Something has happened. If this attack has happened, what is the next course of action? What would be my next way that how we can mitigate those attacks? So these all things need to be conveyed in a simulation way. And I would say, in this simple scenario, I'm not sure that how many of you might be knowing about a digital twin. Anyone who know about digital twin technology? Some of you might be knowing digital twin. Anyone who know a digital twin? A digital twin is being used nowadays. Some of you will going to relate as a part of machine learning or deep learning, but a digital twin is basically a digital replicas or physical entities or systems, and this is one of the powerful tool for simulating and analyzing the smart city operations. Okay, means we are creating some scenarios where we're going to see that how the compromise has been done and what could be the next course of action as a cyber security analyst or as a I would say a cyber threat intelligent official, to how you can go to mitigate those attacks. So this could be the second concern. This is a very important concern where the digital twin features or digital twin technology is going to be used. These are the technology which are being used in the current scenario. It's the very latest technology, digital twin, which is being used for identification of vulnerabilities and simulation of cyber attacks, and also the evaluation of the potential impacts which could be there on the smart infrastructure. The second thing would be the role of government agencies. So government have to come with law enforcements. They have to come with some regulation, with some compliance standard. But I have talked about, like DPDP is one of the standard, but there could be some need of some other standards also, and those standards has to be fully, I would say, religiously. They have to be obeyed by most of the organizations or the infrastructures who are being deployed in the smart city environment. So again, the government has to fund a lot of resources on cybersecurity programs, because cybersecurity is one of the prime concern in the today's scenario. You have the data, it's okay, but the security data is the prime concern. We talk about data science, analyzing of data, but data is not of right manner. Data is being compromised. You're going to make the wrong assumption. You're going to make the wrong dashboard. You're going to do the wrong predictive analytics. So everything revolves around the data. So government has to, I would say, enforce some regulations and compliance which are being there for the deployment and the deployment of the smart city infrastructures. And again, there should be some cyber awareness campaigns. The persons who are a part of cyber, they are part of smart cities, they must be knowing that what could be the potential attacks, how the attackers are compromising the networks, how the attackers are they can compromise their resources. So this must be known to everyone. Like many of us know that we do not need to click on any suspicious link, but many of us are still click on those suspicious link, comes through WhatsApp call, through WhatsApp chats, and then we get compromised. There's so many attacks which has happened only through these digital platforms and another ways, because ransomware is different, malware is different, but many of the things we are using on social media, most of the vulnerabilities attacks are coming only through those ways, in the form of these web links and through phishing attacks. So social awareness Cybersecurity awareness campaign is another thing which is being there. I would say one more thing which I need to talk about right now is about the cyber clinics. I would say that we must have the cyber clinic. Like this is the initiative we are going to start in our university, a cyber clinics. You know that everyone we know about the clinic. Whenever we are ill, we go to the doctor for a clinic. But no one goes to this. If someone is being compromised, where they need to go. They need to either file a complaint on 10934 cyber crime police, or they have to go to their cyber crime organization or some other way. But most of us are not knowing these things. So we need to have this culture of cyber clinics where it is a tendency that we have to make our manpower, our employers, and even our general public to well aware about the cyber attacks and the potential attacks. Because today, I'm not talking about today, very soon, in most of the part of the country, and I hope so, that we have these smart cities. But smart city is good. To use the technology is good. But if we are not technically sound and if we are not knowing what is good, what is bad, so that we might become a victim for the cyber attacks. So this thing we need to understand that cyber awareness is very important, and this is one of the things where government is going to be takes part. Again, industrial collaboration is very important. We need the formulation of a specific threat intelligence group which is going to work on these attacks and doing the open source intelligence, finding the vulnerabilities and some trainings. These all these things are going to be there side by side, and this is the need of the hour, I would say. And I talk about the cyber threat intelligence. Now, when I talk about what are the different ways by which we can do this cyber threat intelligence, like someone was talking about like IDS. But yes, definitely, IDS is intrusion detection system. Whenever any intrusion is coming to your network, is going to find out whether it has been the part of your network. Or IPS, that is intrusion detection as well as prevention, because it's going to prevent, it's going to mitigate any attack on your network. So this can be done. But for that, you need to analyze the traffic analysis tool like Wireshark. Some of you might be knowing about Wireshark, but Wireshark is more than a tool. It is used to analyze the traffic or packet sniffing or packet analysis. But a lot of things is need to be understand. But let's suppose I know Wireshark. But do you think if I'm not knowing about the IP header, I'm able to understand anything about the packet? No, I'm not going to understand anything about the packet if I do not know the IP header structure. How many of you know about IP header? Even we not understand, we may never be able to recall the IP header even. That is the header length, segment offset, if you remember the IP header. Because the data is not coming in the form of header, data will be coming in the form of 0 and 1. As a cyber intelligence, or I would say as a cyber threat hunter or a network engineer or a cyber security professional who are working in the organizations in the cyber in the smart cities intelligence, they need to work on this thing. They need to understand the things in a better way. So for that, the traffic analysis has to be done very efficiently. We must have the endpoint protection. Means endpoint means we must have the antiviruses. We must have the zero trust securities which need to be applied in the organizations. Do not trust anything. There must be some mechanism for authentication. Whosoever wants to be the part of the network, any request which is coming to your network, they need to be checked. They need to be verified whether it is a legitimate or it's a fake request. So that is basically the way by which we can, you can say, mitigate these things to some extent. And definitely, there is a need of advanced malware analysis tool, because attackers are using some kind of malwares. They are sending some information at the back end. There's a malware like a trapdoors. You might be knowing, some of you might be knowing maybe trapdoors. Any malware, any kind of malware, like trapdoor, virus, worm, Trojan horse, rootkits. A lot of malwares are being utilized, and nowadays latest types of malwares are being evolving. So how to understand about this malware? Because the malwares are being evolving day by day. Nowadays there's another category of malware called zero-day malware. I was working on one of these things, zero-day malware. There the signatures are not there, because we have the antivirus, and what the antivirus are doing, they are finding the signatures, they are matching the signature of the viruses or the potential attack, and they are going to classify that this is a worm, this is a virus, this is a Trojan horse. But what about the new viruses, the new families of viruses? These are called zero-day malware. There are not so much specific signatures available for these malware categories. So we need to integrate these advanced malware analysis tools. And if I talk about their tools which are used in malware, I would say Sandbox, Remux, a lot of tools which are being used in the malware analysis. When I talk about the malware analysis of two types, static and dynamic. Dynamic means you are working on the live malware. You are working on the real malware. Static means you are working on a malware on some virtual environment. Clear? So a lot of things can be need to be done, because these are the advanced threats detection tools we need to understand, we need to use. Another thing which I was talking about is a SIEM, that is security information and event management. We know about SOC, okay, but who's going to manage these things? So we need a security information event management mechanism by which every information, every data which is coming to your network is being analyzed, the logs are being maintained, they are being managed, analysis is being done on a proper way, automatic threat detection is being done. Okay, we can using RPs like robotic process automation and some other technologies like chatbots or bots. I will not say chatbots, bots, botnet. We can feed bots to do automatic threat detection and a lot of things which can be done. So these all can be done with the help of SIEM. So SIEM and SOC collectively they are being used for the managing the networks and finding the potential vulnerabilities which are being there in the current scenario. Now, if I talk about this current scenario of your smart cities, another thing would be the integration of machine learning and AI, because we know machine learning, AI, deep learning, a lot of buzzwords which we need to know, but we can use these features or these applications in the field of cybersecurity, in the field of cyber threat intelligence, I would say. We can identify the malwares using machine learning algorithm. We can use random forest. We can use even a decision tree. We can use SVM also. We can use CNN for image classifications. A lot of things we can use for machine learning and deep learning models for the classification of the malware or the intrusion detections. And this is the thing which is being used in the industry right now. Now, if I take a simple example of a malware, like let's take a simple example. You know about QKill? This is one of the major organization of India, QKill, which is antivirus company. Yeah. Okay. So when I talk about this malware, these antivirus companies, we know they come with a new technology called, just recently they have launched one major technology that is called anti-fraud AI. Some of you might be, you can search later on. That is called anti-fraud AI. Let me this one type over here, anti-fraud AI. This is one of the latest thing which has been done by the QKill. Recently, they have launched just 1 month, 2 months ago this particular feature. This is an endpoint security, means that when this antivirus is there, and they have the feature, they are using the AI at the back end to classify the things. Yes, post shortly in the chat box. So basically, these are the technologies, means machine learning, deep learning, a lot of technologies which we can use. Even the blockchain can be utilized to make the secure communications and to check the identities of those devices which are participating in your network, which is a part of smart city infrastructure. So a lot of things which can be done or can be utilized for the smart cities. So it's not only about the machine learning, deep learning, a lot of technological terms in terms of networking, other things can be used. Another fourth aspect I was talking about, we talk about the challenges in cyber threat intelligence for smart cities. I told about those challenges. One of the major challenges, your attacks. There's so many attacks which has happened in that days in case of your in the smart cities. But again, apart from this thing, there are a lot of things which we need to work upon. So we definitely in smart cities we need firewall, we need IDS, we need encryption protocols. We need to do a regular security updates or checking of the infrastructures, what are potential intrusions which could be there. We need to check these all things. We need the social awareness that we're already talking about. But apart from this thing, there could be a lot of other things which could be there, the challenges in smart city infrastructure. But because we know that technology is rapidly changing, so again the attackers are changing their ways of doing attacks. They are now become smarter, just like with the technologies. So what are the challenges in smart cities? I will talk about the first is how to manage the sensitive information, because we have the information, how to manage it. There's a lot of information about the personal identification information of the persons who are using, because when a sensor nodes or IoT devices they are taking, just take an example of your hospital. They have fetching the sensor data is fetching the patient's information like fitness band. I can take a simple example, or pacemaker, digital pacemakers. So they have all the information. If that information is being breached, that information is being compromised and is being monetarily managed by from a third party, a, a lot of things can be done. Even a person sitting in other part of the country, and they can even increase the speed of the heartbeat or the pacemaker by digitally controlling that one from different location, if they can intercept that information. A lot of things can be done. So encryption of the data is one of the important concept or one of the important requirement in case of securing your information, which is a part of the communication in case of smart cities. Second thing, which is important one, is the compliance of the data protection laws like GDPR. Okay, that is a generalized global data protection laws are there. So we have to have deploy those laws, and even we need a regular audits. It could be there by the organizations, and this is one of the important aspects that the regular the audits need to be managed. They should be handling transparency in handling practices, and definitely there is a need of feedback, a mechanism by which the effective communication, if someone is being breach has been done, that should be communicating in an efficient manner to the recipient. But again, apart from this thing, there must be compatibility among all the IoT devices. Whenever we use IoT devices, they must be compatible. They must be able to exchange the information in an efficient manner, because the data is being exchanged in a different format device. So that has to be done in an efficient way. One of the another concern, which is very important, is the scalability. So issue like we know that the the data is being increased, the number of devices are being increased, but that again, when the devices are increased, the data is also going to be increased. So scalability must come into play. How to how to scale that particular network, how to increase the size of the network, but the services must be working uninterrupted manner, in efficient manner. So how to handle this growing amount of large data? And let's take a simple example of cloud infrastructure. So how is going to be managed these all things? So that is to be done in an efficient way. Okay, we have to manage the resources in an efficient way. So all these things is need to be done. Again, when you talk about, there is also other attacks which could be done by the attackers in the time to come. So all these things, interoperability of the devices, scalability of the devices, resource allocation, I would say managing information, these all are the important aspects which we need to work upon. Now, when I talk about some other constraints which are very important uh, from the security point of view, we must have that we must know about the other funding. Like we usually talk about, like government must fund these projects, the government must fund with cyber security initiative, and they must do the training of the persons who are involved in the smart city infrastructure deployment. But again, there must be a cost benefit analysis, means allocation of the funds, managing of the funds, policy regulations, compliance of the policies. This all adherence to the guidelines which is being put up by the organizations under various laws. These all need to be done in an efficient way. Because if the policies, the compliance standards are not being met, if the devices are not being installed in a proper location, if the proper data securing protocols or information securing protocol, proper encryption standards for securing of data, proper, I would say, data security features are not being added, proper installation of the devices, firewalls, endpoint security, these are not being done, that is of no use then. Whatever the infrastructure is going to create, that is going to be compromised at one date for sure. So a lot of things we need to work upon where for the this one, the challenges which could be perceived in case of your this one in smart intelligence in this particular field of cyber threat intelligence. So there are some future trends and the emerging technologies which could be one of the way by which they can be utilized for the smart city infrastructures. So the first and the foremost thing is the predictive analytics. Definitely, we know about machine learning. I give you some glimpse of machine learning. That machine learning algorithms can be used to predict the potential threats. Now, let's take a simple example. Now we send a mail to someone. How your mail is when we see the mails, everyone is using mail. We have seen that in mails there's always sometimes there's a categorization of mail, spam email, inbox is spam email. How the Gmail is categorizing the mails? Anyone knows? in US. The students are working on MITRE attack. So they are telling that these are the potential attacks which could be there. This is the simple modus operation which is being used, and you have to take one of the scenario and you have to devise some mechanism by which this attack can be invade. This can be mitigated. So the students are working on using some data sets and they are working on some machine learning technologies. So machine learning can be applied on the data which is being taken from those sensors in the smart city deployment, and they can analyze the traffic behavior, the analysis, the time, strength, everything, the other factors also. That depends upon the data, what kind of data is that is, and they can make use of some algorithms, maybe machine learning, deep learning algorithms, supervised or unsupervised algorithms, or maybe nowadays we are talking about federated learning or transfer learning using some other, maybe some other advanced algorithms like ResNet, YOLO, VD16, the latest one, for the classification or for analyzing of the patterns, what kind of patterns they can infer from those particular data. Because this monitoring has to be done 24/7, and without using machine learning and some other latest technologies, it is not possible to analyze a huge amount of data. So you have to devise some algorithms, some smart intelligence algorithms for analyzing the data in an efficient manner so that they can find out a potential attack. Another thing would be the automated threat intelligence. Means there should not be anyone to tell that this is a way, this is a mechanism you have to follow to do this threat intelligence. There should be some automation. Means some process has to be designed that the automation has to be done for the threat detection and the response time. Because the human, in case of the automation, the time constraint is not a challenge, and even the automated assist system would also reduce the human errors, because as a human we can make some error, but as a machine the chances are very less, I would say. So automated threat intelligence is one of the way by which the future of this threat intelligence can be enhanced. Not the least, I would say the blockchain can be used for enhanced security, and there are so many sessions you will see in your this FDP which are majorly catered towards the blockchain technology. So blockchain is also set a base for your security paradigm, and blockchain is a distributed ledger technology, is based on hashing. Basically we want that the systems are distributed one, and that whatever the transactions which are being done, they are immutable. Means you can have the devices, they are sharing some information. So whenever one device is going to start share some information, is running one transaction, maybe it's one, this is called a basic transaction. So once another devices who are part of the communication, they are not going to validate a transactions, it's not going to execute. So this keeps the transparency into to a larger level. And even the security, by default the blockchain is enhancing the security. That is by default is a, because they are immutable, the transactions are immutable, they cannot be changed, so definitely the security is a part of the blockchain network. So with the help of hyper decentralized ledger technology, or DLT, this blockchain can be used for the security of the devices, the security of the information. Even the blockchain is being used in most of the scenarios nowadays. The blockchain is used even for most of the countries. They are used for your this one lands or lands notary. Whenever you want to buy your land, then nowadays in India, what we are going to do, we are going to the notary or to some municipal corporation for the same. But in Europe and other part of the world, there's a digital, using a blockchain technology for the notarization of the land. But again, blockchain is being not only for Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, it is much beyond this one. Healthcare systems are using blockchain, using distributed ledger technology. They're using gossip protocol, they're using proof of work and proof of stack technologies, or the concepts to deploy the blockchain. For the blockchain deployment, there are a lot of tools, like the creation of smart contract, what has been mentioned by the principals are in the beginning also, the deployment of smart contracts and the creation of smart contracts using Solidity and other technologies or other languages which can be done. And this is one of the things which is going to be the future of the country in the times to come. And specifically, the blockchain is going to be one of the major revolution in the field of smart cities implementation. So apart from this, when I talk about the definitely we need the AI driven threat detection. We need the AI systems where they can use they can find the threat detection using the AI techniques, not the chat GPT or other technologies which are being used by that nowadays by most of us using large language models. But AI is much more beyond that. This one, there is the automation of cyber defense systems, means type threat detection and mitigation without humans, using human intervention. I told you the smart algorithms are the one of the major thing which is being required, the smart algorithms. And so these are the various constraints, I would say, one of the various things uh, which is being required to enhancing the cyber security. One of the another thing which I need to talk about is we need standardized frameworks. We need some international standards, just like ISO or ISEC 2007-001 for managing the security risk. So because these framework, these standards will help the smart cities to identify the vulnerabilities, implement the controls, continually monitoring the services and other things, which is very important for the network to work in an efficient manner. Another thing which we can talk about, we can need to is that we need to regularly update and patch the softwares. Okay, data protection and privacy measures has to be done. Means there should be a secure data storage. The data is to be stored in a secure repositories. Okay, so these a lot of things need to be done. There a lot of advances has been done in the IoT security. Means implementation of the secure encryption protocol for IoT devices. We need to work on some other encryption techniques. We nowadays we are just not talking about a very basic encryption. We need to work on post quantum cryptography. This is the latest thing which you need to work upon as a research point of view. We need to work on homomorphic encryption. A lot of things which has come is not about the simple plain cryptography is all about, or this encryption is all about. A lot of things which has been there in the times to come, which is need to be deployed, because we know the IoT devices are time constrained, they are energy constrained. Okay, so what we need lightweight algorithms. We need lightweight encryption algorithm which can easily be deployed, which can easily be run on those IoT devices with using less amount of energy, so that the lifetime of that particular device is more. So these all are the things we need to work upon. So developing a secure framework, we need a device integrity and preventing unauthorized access practicing, like means there should be techniques for anonymization of data, secure data storage, compliance with the regulations, continuous monitoring and threat detection could be there. Incident response plan must be there. Everything must be there in case of in case I would say a better threat intelligence mechanism. We have to integrate this IoT with threat intelligence, real-time monitoring of the IoT devices. I would say deployment of SOC, SIEM, and other functionalities is very important. Integration of IoT data with intelligent platforms, so where we can get the real-time data information from what kind of data they are being sensed. We apply some data analytics at the back end to see the potential threats, vectors, or potential chances of data, whether it is being corrected one or there will be some chances of being compromised. This all thing has to be integrated, has to be done. And but not last but not the least means utilizing smart sensors and devices for environment monitoring. So a lot of things we need to work upon. A lot of things could be done in the field of smart cities. We need to deploy zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture is this is one of the conclusion I would going to say, that there are a lot of key insights of this particular discussion. Means there should be a zero trust approach. Means no entity inside or outside the network is being trusted by default. You can't trust anyone. No such information, no such physical entities or logical entities going to be trust. There is a zero trust architect is to be deployed. Deployment of blockchain technology, deployment of post quantum cryptography, which are better one, take care of the latest algorithms or latest attacks, which can be done by the attacker using high sophisticated systems. So these all are the things which has to be done in the times to come in order to mitigate these particular kind of attacks. We have to do a secure planning and design. We have to enforce multi-factor authentication. It looks very simple, but many of us, I'm very much sure, they are not using multi-factor authentication. Majority, I would say 50-60% of which I know, even in we are from all technical person, but still 60-70% of us are not using multi-factor authentication. We can use for Gmail, but what about some other applications? How to use multi-factor authentication or your these other features which are a part of multi-factor authentication in our daily life. We must have to do the PaaS systems. All the softwares or whatever which are being used in the smart city, they have to be patched, they have to be updated regular intervals. So this is one of the concern which is being there and very important. Definitely, this metaverse and digital twins are relevant to real world application. Yes, these technologies, Srinivas, is very important. Like I was taking one example of digital twin also. You have to create this digital twin is being used with integration with IoT and machine learning nowadays. And with a digital twin, they offer a powerful tool for simulating the city operations and basically they're creating a cyber security framework, some scenarios they are creating, not the real one, where you can deploy and you can see how the things are going to work upon in the times of future. You can deploy, you can work on the virtual environment, and you can see that what are the potential vulnerability which can be exploited by the attackers. So that will give you the feel and the idea that how the things are actually happening in the real scenario. So a lot of things can be done. We must have, I would say, a better incident response and recovery plans also. If some attack has been happened, so we must have those recovery plans, how to recover the data. But I would simply stress more on conducting workforce training. There should be, we need to train new and existing employees on some automated operations, technologies related to cyber security, data management as a whole, because these are the ones who are going to be the main custodian of smart cities. As a human, as a general public, we must know about the basics of security. But again, when I talk about this in terms of smart cities, a lot of things we need to work upon. I was just reading one article. There's one of the major things I need to work upon. Yes, I'm going to take your question, Ramesh, just in a while. There are a lot of smart city mission has implemented some measures to protect the digital infrastructure. They have come with the guidelines. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, they have come with the guidelines on 18 September 2024, that what are the essential cybersecurity protocols for managing the infrastructure in smart cities. So they come with very simple things. They come with general protocols on cybersecurity, means there must be some backup plans. They talk about that that user use secure communication, just like VPN, virtual private network. When we talk about the malware side, they use that we must use antivirus. There should be disable autoply mode. There should not be any remote login. We need to configure the virtual LAN. That is, the one workstation is different from another workstation, so that they should not be accessible resources. These all things can be done. Another thing they're talking about password even, because we all are the part of the smart cities, and very soon we are going to be part of smart cities. And still, but again, we must need to change the passwords at a regular interval of time. We must keep the password different. We use different password, different accounts. We never need to share the password. This looks very simple to us, like combination of lowercase upper layer to check the password strength. But at the end, these small things can make a larger difference in the times to come when we're going to deploy the smart cities. Okay. For the incident response, we can use firewalls, RPCs, DNS monitoring can be done. A lot of things can be done at the higher level. But again, I would say awareness is one of the important thing, and how much we know about the technology and how we're going to respond. That is the foremost thing I would say, which is a pointer to make these things successfully, to deploy these smart cities in efficient manner in India and even in majority of the cities where we live in. So thank you so much for this session. I'm going to take one of the questions which is being given by Srinivasanji. If you have any open source software where we can deploy our metaverse and digital twin, definitely we can use some softwares for metaverse. You can work on this one basic softwares like for metaverse is basically is not any such I would say a specific repository which we need to work upon. Okay, but for the digital twin, the Siemens and some other technologies companies, they have these open source tools like Eclipse is here. I know this one, which is one of the free tool which we can work upon for creating the various simple platforms on using digital twin technologies, simple simulations, I would say. I'm going to share some links with ma'am also, some open sourceware which we can work upon in the times to come. We would like to test our authentication. Yes, definitely you can test your authentication protocols over those things. If I would say like if you're making some secure application, if you're making some cryptographic algorithms, you can use some tools where you can test those applications, where you can deploy some attacks on those cryptographic algorithms, and you can see the strength of those algorithms on those protocols, that how better is your cryptographic approach and how much the kind of attacks which they are able to work upon. So there are a lot of open source, because we are usually working on only open source tools. We are not working on the paid one, because again I was talking about this tool like this one Nessus. You will might be knowing one tool called Nessus, which can be used for this one SOC Nessus, and this is for data monitoring and other things. But it is a costly tool. It will cost you around 4 lakhs one license. But again, you will have a lot of tools which are some open versions are available or limited version are available, and you can use those limited versions for your work. That will be more than enough. Yes, Rameshji, you concern if you want to ask something, you can put your question in the chat section. So I welcome everyone. If you have any concern, you can ask me in the chat section. Even you can ask me even for you also.
Participants, you can surely ask questions.
If
You
any
can put
concern,
your
you
question.
are most welcome. There is no such thing because we are all learners. We need to understand each other things. A lot of things we can talk about in cybersecurity because I not cover the cybersecurity experts. I've just covered the very basics of cybersecurity and how this can be related to smart cities.
Any questions from participants?
Okay, ma'am, we will conclude then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for that truly insightful and thought-provoking presentation. Your expertise and passion for the cyber threat intelligence was evident throughout the presentation. And I'm sure I can speak on behalf of everyone here when I say we have all walked with a deeper understanding of what is cyber threat intelligence, secure communication, challenges in cyber threat intelligence for smart cities, future trends, related research topics, and many more, sir. So it's not every day that we get to hear from someone with your level of experience and knowledge. So we are incredibly grateful for the time and energy you put into sharing those insights with us, sir. We as the organizing team are truly honored to have you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and even the patience everyone has did. But still, everyone, I want to say you can connect me through LinkedIn also. So if you want to work in the field of cybersecurity, I would be love to work with you all in the field of cybersecurity and threat intelligence. Thank you so much for your time, and even thank you so much, Namrata ma'am, everyone, the part of this particular presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ma'am, has the next speaker joined?
He has not joined it. So we'll,
Yes,
participant did not have to leave the session because the next session is going to start soon.
No, I'm here. I'm available over here.
Balani sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
So put on your videos, camera, sir.
Sure, ma'am. It started. Can you see me, ma'am? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are visible enough.
Sure.
I'm reminding the participants that you not have to leave this session because the next session is on and your online video tracking and attendance tracking is there. So you will be also responsible for your attendance in the FDP. We'll be putting the feedback link also in this meet only, so that you'll have to fill the feedback link of each session. Sneha ma'am.
Ma'am, what happened? We will start with the next section. No?
Yeah, Balani sir has not put a video on, no?
I'm here. I'm available.
Sir is there, ma'am.
Okay. So on behalf of Priyadashini College of Engineering and Department of Computer Science and Engineering, I welcome Mr. Ashwin Kumar Balani for the next session. He is an CEO of First Impression Technology, Nagpur. He has been his expertise in Android app development, Flutter, MATLAB, signal processing, .NET framework, PHP, and so on. He has started his first impression technology company in 2009, and he has been heading in design and development of various projects. He is a leadership. He has a leadership program for the startup in the Mumbai chapter, and he has been dedicated as an entrepreneur for 2016-17 batch at Mumbai. So over to you, sir, for your session. Balani, sir, you can
Good
start your
evening.
session, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to this interesting session on blockchain. So today, what we'll be doing is this session will be a bit different. There is no presentation as such. We'll all be understanding about blockchain and smart cities. And after that, we'll be doing a small code wherein I'll um, uh, explain you how blockchain can be applied to a smart city application and how that application can be used to create a real-time scenario. Okay. So with that knowledge or with that introduction, let me share my screen with you and let me first explain you how this session is going to work. My screen, I think, is visible now. Perfect. Now let me tell you how the session is going to work. We'll not be doing any kind of what you can say theoretical presentations. I'll be requiring you to code as I go along. Okay, and to code this particular what you can say example that we'll be discussing today, I request you all to start Collab on your machines. So I'll just share the link of Collab with every one of you. Just click on this link and a Collab window will open up. Okay. We are setting this up right now because once we are done with the explanation of what we are going to do, we don't want to waste time in setting up the Collab environment. So I want each and every one of you to be very, very attentive during the session. In case you have any queries, just type on the message. Whenever I'll be giving you a task to do something, I'll be asking you to write done on the chat window. So once you are done with the with the task, you have to write done on the chat window. Based on that, I'll be able to understand that you are following along the steps. Okay. So if every one of you has started with Collab, please write done on the chat window, and then we can move ahead with the next part. So I can just view your responses from here. Thank Bhakti ma'am. Anyone else who is done with this? Thank Vivek sir. Okay, I think two of you are done. That's very good. Thanks, Preeti ma'am. Now you click on new notebook over here. I think some of you might have, thanks Sandeep sir. I think some of you might know about Collab, but for people who don't know, we are doing this as a revision. Click on new notebook. It will create a new notebook on your Collab repository. For this, your Google account has to be logged in because everything will be saved on your Google Drive. Okay. So get different hashes. Yeah, thanks, Alok sir. So as you can see, this particular value or this particular input is giving you a fixed size hash. This is a hash of 256 bits. Okay, so this particular hash size will never change, even if you change the input to whatever you want. Okay, now why is that required? I think someone unmuted the mic. Can you please mute? Okay, that's okay. No problem. Let's move ahead. Yeah. Now, what we'll be doing is, let us call this hash as H1. Ma'am, can you please ask the guy to unmute, to like mute the mic? Perfect. Now,
Participants, please unmute your mic.
mute.
Sorry, mute your mic. It is disturbing the.
Okay, that's perfect. Now, let's see. Let's call this hash as Aparna ma'am, you need the link of the tool. This is the link of the tool. I just copy the link and paste it over here again. Yeah. So now you have got a hash of this particular block. Let us call this hash as H1. So what the blockchain will do is, it will store the hash H1 over here and the hash H1 in the next block. Okay. So now these two blocks are connected with the help of a hash H1. Are we clear with that? Everyone, yes or no? Perfect. So I think we are YIST. I'm not understanding YIST. Okay. So H1 and H1 are connected together. I didn't understand the question of Radhika ma'am. What's the meaning of IST? Okay, it's copying the H1 from this block to the other block. So just understand this. These two blocks should have something in common. The common point is the hash. Okay. And as Sohail sir rightly said, it's a linked list wherein this particular block is storing the address of the next block, and the address is a hash. Okay, we'll not go into linked list for now because it is a difficult kind of a concept to understand. But for now, just understand this: the block 1 has a hash H1. The block 2 will also have the hash H1 stored inside it. Okay. Now, what will happen is, whenever you will find out the hash of block number 2, the hash of block number 2 was what? Y to Z 250 on date 2/12/24. Correct? Yeah. Pujari, sir, the algorithm is SHA-256, as you can see over here. You can use any algorithm, but for the sake of simplicity, we are not going into the algorithmic details because this class is more towards the application of blockchain to smart cities. So I just want to make everyone understand about what blockchain is, and then we'll go into the details of implementation of the smart city application for blockchains. Okay, so what I wanted to say is, when you want to find out the hash of this particular second block, okay, you have to understand this very, very carefully. When you're trying to find out the hash of the second block, this second block contains this data, Y to Z 250 and the date. Yes or no? Yes? Yes, class? What is the data available with block 2? The data available with block 2 is the value of X or the value of Y, which is this second participant, Z, the amount, and the date. Now, along with this particular data, you also need to store H1 inside block 2. So the hash H1, whatever it was coming, X to Y to 500 and this hash will be copied inside the block number 2. Along with that, you will get Y, Z, 250 and 2224. So this particular entire thing that you are seeing, which is the previous hash along with the value of X, Y, and Z, which are the two transacting parties, along with the amount 250, along with the date. This entire thing becomes one particular block, and the hash of this block is this. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Very good. Now, if that is clear with us, so we come to our example. Now we have got H2, which contains the hash from this entire block. So this entire thing is a single block. And this H2 will be stored inside the block H3, inside the third block, and you will get a hash over here called as H3. Yes, very nice, Mohan Aradhya, sir, that it is perfectly correct. H2 contains H1 plus block 1, block 2 data. So because of this kind of storage, whenever you have H1, you can always find out block number 2 because the block number 2 contains H1. And if you have H1 and you can find block number 2, so you will get H2. And based on H2, you can find block number 3. And this loop goes on for Hn blocks, as in the n number of blocks. Because of this kind of connection, this is called as a blockchain. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. So people who didn't know, okay, Lalita ma'am, I'll just come to your query in a minute. Okay, I think most of you have got that thing. I think Lalita ma'am hasn't got the concept of blockchain yet. No problem. So Lalita ma'am, did you understand there are blocks that you store? Yes or no? Yeah. You understood that every block has a hash value? Yes. So let's say if a block 1 has a hash H1 and we want to store another block 2, the block 2 will contain the block 2 data plus the hash of the previous block. Is that clear to you? Yes or no? Yes. So block 2 will contain only the hash of block 1. It will not contain the entire data. It will only contain the hash of block 1. The entire data will be inside the block 1 itself. Only the hash of that block will be stored inside the block number 2. Are we clear with that? Okay. I hope everyone knows about hashing and encryption. Yeah. Is there anyone who doesn't know about hashing and encryption? Just write no on the chat window. That's very good. I think most of you know about hashing and encryption. Aparna ma'am. Okay, so you want me to explain hashing and encryption? Yes or no? Okay, so I'll just give you a very quick brief of what is hashing and what is encryption. Everyone else, just please bear with this for just 1 second. Suppose that you have a data which looks something like this. Hello world. And you don't want anyone else to know this data apart from the person whom you want to send this message to. For example, if I want to send a message to you, Aparna ma'am, hello world. So, and I want this data to be viewed only by you. So I will encrypt this data, as in I will make the data to, let's say, XYZ ABC PQ RST. So this is the encrypted form of hello world. Okay. For encryption, you have a lot of algorithms. We will not go into that detail right now, but this might be the encrypted form of this data. On your machine, if you get this data and you know that it's sent by me, you can decrypt the data to hello world once again. Again, there is a lot of algorithms AES. After the class, you can just take a look on what AES does. But for now, just understand that there is an algorithm called as AES. Will convert hello world to this and this to this. Okay, that is cryptography or encryption. But in encryption, you can always get the decrypted data from the encrypted data. But in hashing, if you convert the data into an encrypted form, you cannot get back the decrypted data. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. So encryption is two-way, as in you can encrypt and decrypt, but hashing is one way. You cannot decrypt the data, you can only encrypt. There is a reason behind that. We'll not go into the depth of that, but for now, just understand this. If I want to convert this particular data into a fixed length array, which is not understood by anyone, then I can use a hash algorithm. And for hash, we use something called as SHA, also called as secure hashing algorithm. The internal working of that is not in the context of this particular session. So just understand this. There is an algorithm called SHA1 or SHA256, which will convert all the input data into a 256-bit long string. And as I showed you in the window over here, that whenever you put any data over here, so the hash of this data is this. Okay, you can always get this hash from the data, but you can never get the data back from the hash. Okay, it's an undecryptable kind of a system where you can only perform a one-way encryption. Okay, so with that knowledge, we'll understand why a blockchain is required or why a blockchain is used in real world situations so heavily. Okay, so Leela ma'am, the size of the output. Let's say if you have 3 blocks. So let's calculate that thing very, very fast. So we have 3 blocks. Every block has at least 256-bit of hash, plus it has, say, 8-bit of source, plus 8-bit of destination, plus 8-bit of data. Let's say to store the date, you require 20 bits. So that will be the size of the blockchain, 256 for the hash, 8-bit for source, 8-bit for destination, 8-bit for data, and 20 bits for the date. Okay, so it's 28 plus 8, 36, 36 plus 8, 44, 44 and 256. So that will be about 290 or 300 bytes per block, 300 bits per block. 300 multiplied by 3, that will be 900 bits. Okay, so size of the data is not a concern over here because this data can change. Okay, today you are storing just source, destination, date, and data. Tomorrow you might be storing an image over here, or you might be storing something like a video on the blockchain. So this particular data will not be, this size is not fixed. Yeah, Vivek, sir, the hash size will always remain the same. 256 means 256. If you are using a different hash algorithm, let's say SHA-128, so the size will become 128. Okay, will hash be the same different times? No, because you are storing that time inside the block. So even if you create the hash of this block 10 days later, the date will remain the same, the amount will remain the same, the expire will remain the same. So hash will remain the same for the block. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Not fully. Today, it will be H1. If I create it tomorrow, it will be H1 dash. Is that your query? Yes. So Vivek sir, just let's just take an example. Even if you create the hash tomorrow, let's say Vivek has given a transaction to Ashish. So X is Vivek, Y is Ashish, and the amount is 500. And the date was yesterday's date, that is 1/12/24. Will X and Y change? No. Will the amount change? No. Will the date change? No. So because all of this is constant, the hash will always be the same for that particular block. Are we clear with that?
Yeah, my problem is then I thought like hash is going to be unique every time. Is it like going to be unique?
Yes, yes, yes. Unique for each block, as in for this particular block, the hash is H1. This H1 cannot be repeated in any other block.
Yeah, okay. Got that.
So this is one transaction.
Yeah,
if you transact the same amount on the same date with the same person, then the hash might be same. But in that case, let's take an example that Vivek sir has suggested, that if there is the same transaction happening, that's a very good point that you have raised. I'll just tell you how that hash will never be the same. Let's say if one more transaction is happening over here with, let's say, the same credentials, okay? This X, Y is the same and everything remains the same over here. But the big thing is this block now contains H3 as well, okay? In this particular block, there was no hash as such because this was the first block, but this block contains H3. So if you add H3 to this particular transaction, you will always get a new
yeah, thank you. That means like for every block, every transaction, a new hash is going to get created.
For sure. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah. There is one more way to uniquify the hash, that is with the help of a nonce number, but it's a bit of a what you can say out of scope of this particular session. A nonce number is used for two purposes. One is to uniquify the hash. Second is to add difficulty in mining. So I'll not go into what mining is and what those things are. But for now, just understand this. Every block will have a different hash, as in H1, H2, H3, H4 will not be repeated because you are always adding the hash of the previous block. Because the hash of the previous block and the data cannot be same, that is why the hash will not be same in most of the cases. Okay. But if it is same, there is a concept called as nonce or a nonce number that is added in the blockchain to make the hash unique. But for the sake of simplicity, just understand this. This is how the perfect. Now let's understand how and why blockchain Narasimha sir, this can be a case, this might not be a case, because with every block, if you want to store the block, the time of creation, you can store that. If you don't, you can skip that. It's not a problem. Most of the blockchains will have the time of block creation. So that's a true statement. So let's see, we understood that what a blockchain is. Now we want to understand how this blockchain can be used in smart cities, or how the blockchain can be used in an application in smart city deployments. So let us just take a small example, the same example that we are taking, that this is an example of a smart city wherein X, Y, and Z are three parties or three people living in the same city. Okay, 500, 250, 150, and 500. This is the amount of land that they have given to each other. As in, X has given 500 square feet of land to Y. Y has given 250 square feet of land to Z. Z has given 150 square feet of land to X. And again, X has given 500 to Y. Are we clear with this example? Yes or no? So instead of imagining that 500 as an amount, just imagine that 500 is the amount of area that a person has given to some other person. Yeah, we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. I think 3 of you have got the concept. Okay, so now this is the it's not seen on the screen. Okay, let me just unshare and share my screen once again. I think I'll share the screen once again. Aparna, if it's not shown on the screen, then there might be an issue with Google Meet, because if you zoom the screen, the screen might have gone blank. Just refresh your window. You will log out and log in once again, and you will be able to see the screen. Perfect. Sure. Very good. So now let's understand this, that X to Y has given 500 square feet of land. Thank you. Y to Z 250, Z to X 150, and X to Y 500. Now, with this knowledge, let's understand why blockchain is so important. Assume that today X has given Y 500 square feet of land, but somehow X wants to tamper this data, and he makes this 500 as 600, because X has the block with him. So he modifies this data and makes this data as 600. Okay, you got the point? Yes or no? X has modified the data from 500 to 600. Okay, now because modified the data, the first thing that will change is the hash value. So now H1 will become H1 dash. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yes. Perfect. Now tell me, in this, Srinivas sir, this modification is very possible. I'll tell you how. So H1 now becomes H1 dash. Okay. If H1 dash is the new hash, can you see H1 dash anywhere in the blockchain? Yes or no? No, right? So if someone comes with this particular blockchain wherein H1 dash is a block's hash, that particular hash will not be found anywhere in the blockchain. That chain, because even if you modify that data, the new hash value will not be found on the entire chain. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. Now, coming to the question raised by Srinivas sir, that this hash, this block cannot be changed. I'll tell you why it can be changed, and it's not a thing. Assume that this is the blockchain that is stored on Srinivas sir's machine. Okay. So this is one copy of the blockchain which is stored on Srinivas sir's machine. This is another copy of the same blockchain which is stored in, say, Vijaya ma'am's machine. This is one more copy of the same blockchain stored in, say, Trupti ma'am's machine. And this is one more copy of the same blockchain, let's say, stored in Swati ma'am's machine. Okay, so I'll just name these blocks with the name of the machine. This is for Srinivas sir. I'll just increase the font over here. Everyone can see it. I'll just make it 72. Yeah. And this is the block stored on Trupti ma'am's machine. This is the block stored on Vijaya ma'am's machine. This is a block stored on, say, Larita ma'am's machine. Okay. So every person has a copy of the blockchain stored on their own machine. Okay. So they know the encryption keys, the decryption keys, and everything on their machine. So Srinivas sir, if he wants, he can simply modify Komal ma'am. What was the no for? Okay, did you understand that every person might have a copy of the blockchain? Yes or no? Yeah, so I'll just tell that thing to you. Whenever you use a blockchain is not a centralized system, as in the blockchain is not stored on a single machine. The copy of the same blockchain is stored on multiple machines, as in It is stored with Srinivas sir, it's stored with Vijaya ma'am, it's stored with Tripti ma'am, it's stored with Lalita ma'am as well, and all the users on the chain, okay, or all the users on the network. So if Srinivas sir has the keys of it, as in he knows which block is encrypted with which particular key, what Srinivas sir can do is he can simply modify this block and make this 500 to be 600, okay? And if he does that particular thing and he stores that data back into his blockchain, so based on this particular data, when the chain will be validated or when you will be, yes, Chambakeshwar sir, all the blockchains will contain the same information across all the users, okay? So if Srinivas sir changes his blockchain data from 500 to 600, then because of this change in data, this hash will become H1 dash, okay? And this H1 dash will not be found in any of the copies of the blockchain, as in with Vijaya ma'am, it is not found, with Lalita ma'am, it's not found, with Tripti ma'am, is not found. In that case, this particular blockchain of Srinivas sir will be discarded, as in it will be an unvalidated or it will be an unverified blockchain, and this particular blockchain will not be used for future purposes. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Srinivas sir, clear? Very good. So now this brings us to the first part of blockchain, where we are saying that a blockchain is immutable, as in you cannot modify. Yeah, Srinivas sir, I'm coming to that. You cannot modify the data on a blockchain, as in once you store this transaction or once you store this data on the chain, if you modify this data, the entire chain that you have stored with you will be invalidated, or it will be called as an unverified or a improper blockchain, and that blockchain will not be used in the network to add more blocks, okay? Then what will happen is, if a blockchain is invalidated, then Srinivas sir has to copy blockchain from either Vijaya ma'am or Lalita ma'am or Tripti ma'am, okay? So that in that way, everyone has the copy of the same blockchain with them. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Very nice. If that part is clear with us, then let's understand the first property, which is immutability, as in if you have a blockchain, the blockchain cannot be modified or the blockchain cannot be mutated. This is how you stop hacking on a particular system, as in if the same copy is stored with multiple people, if anyone copy is tampered, the other people will restore the copy back. Okay, that is how the first property of blockchain works, is immutability. Second property of blockchain is decentralization, as in the entire blockchain is not stored on a central server. It's stored at all the blocks or at all the nodes of a particular network. Because it's stored on all the nodes of a network, it's a decentralized chain. Okay, are we clear with that, everyone? Perfect. So from today onwards, not store a node on a blockchain, but you store a blockchain on a node, because node has storage inside it. So you can store the blockchain on the node, not vice versa. Okay, because a lot of people that are new to blockchain, they confuse themselves that a node is a blockchain, but no, node is something which stores a blockchain. If you have 1,000 nodes, the copy of blockchain will be to all the nodes. Okay, and all these nodes form a, yes, it uses a lot of space, but in today's date, to be very frank, space is not a concern, because all of our machines have GBs of data available as storage. Okay, so space is not a big issue. Yeah, Jambakeshwari ma'am, Jambakeshwari sir, the node means a machine. Node means it can be a mobile phone, it can be a laptop, it can be a computer, it can be a tablet, anything it can be, where you can store this data. Yes, so ma'am, the main purpose of storing data on blockchain is to prevent it from hacking or prevent it from modifications. As in, you cannot modify the data on a blockchain. For instance, if this is the data stored on a particular chain and someone tries to tamper with that chain, every time the chain is validated, it will be removed from the blockchain network. Okay, that is why you cannot modify the data on a blockchain. So two properties are clear, I think. Immutability, that is the blockchain cannot be modified. Second property, which is decentralization, wherein you can uh, store the same chain on multiple nodes. Third, and the most important, is transparency. As in, Srinivas sir can see all the data on his blockchain, same as Vijaya ma'am, same as Tripti ma'am, same as Larita ma'am. That is why the blockchain is transparent, means everyone can see the transaction or the hash values of all the other blocks. That is why it's completely transparent. You cannot modify the blockchain. Now let's take a small example of voting. Okay, if there are a million voters and the blockchain is stored with each and every person of India, and they know which particular person has given vote to which particular party, and the hash of that value is available with you. The voting, as in, say, person A has voted to party P1, this data is encrypted, so no one can see it. But the hash of that data is fixed, as in that hash cannot be modified. So if someone tries to change this AP1 to AP2, they'll not be able to do it because the hash is stored on the chain. Okay, that is why blockchain voting is the need of the hour. As in, if you have that thing, it will be a very transparent kind of a system in the entire organization. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Very good. So, very good. So the third point that we saw is transparency. As in, everyone can see the entire chain. They might not be able to hear the data, as in what data is stored on the chain, but they are able to see that the chain is not tampered with, or the chain is true to its nature in the entire network. Okay. Fourth and the most important thing is traceability. As in, you can trace the entire blockchain with the help of a single hash value. For example, if you have got the hash H3, as in H3 is your hash, you can go to any node and you can simply put the hash H3. The blockchain will start from the first block, find H1, then find H1 to H2, H2 to H3. And he will know that your block is this one, and you can get the block at the output. Okay. So because the blockchains, or because the blocks are stored with a single entity or a single connection of a hash, you can trace the entire chain with the help of a single hash value. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. Perfect. Now, with that knowledge available with us, Aparna ma'am. So I'll just repeat that last statement. Let's say Aparna ma'am has wants to find out her transaction, as in person X is Aparna ma'am, and she wants to find out how many transactions are her transactions. Okay, so Aparna ma'am will have H1 hash, because H2 is also with because H3 is also her hash, so she'll have H2 and H3 hashes. If Aparna ma'am wants to find out what was the second transaction that she did, so she already has the hash value H2. She will say, blockchain, give me my transaction with the hash H2. What blockchain will do is, it will first search the first block, find out the hash H1 not matching. Then go to block 2 with the help of hash H1, find out the hash H2 matching. So it will trace the block H2 from this hash, and this block will be displayed to Aparna ma'am's output. Are we clear with that? Perfect. Perfect. So that is how you can trace the entire chain with the help of a single hash value. how to find H1 from H2. No, you cannot find H1 from H2 because in a real blockchain, this H will not be stored. You will only get the block with the hash of the previous block. And when you want to search it, you will find out the hash H1 because the block is available. In the block, you will get H1. You will search for this H1 in the hashes, you will get H1 over here. And then based on this H1, you will find out H2 and so on. You cannot go reverse. And then you cannot find H1 from H2 because it's the chain goes like this, not like this. Got the point? Mohan sir, you got the point? Perfect. Now, that is all about how a blockchain works in brief. I think most of you might have got the concept of how blockchain is basically working in a simpler environment. Now, let me just show you a small Word document that I've prepared for you. And with the help of that document, you will be able to understand what we are trying to build today. Okay. So we are trying to build a smart city application with the help of blockchain. A smart city application looks something like this. Okay. So we're using a smart transit application for a blockchain. Let me just minimize or arrange the size of this so that I can see your responses as well on the same time. This should be good. This should be good. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a blockchain which contains smart transit information for Metro City. Now, don't get confused. It's a very simple blockchain because for this class, I wanted to make a very small kind of a chain. Now, what will happen is this particular smart transit Metro City blockchain will contain or will contain a list of users in a city. Let's say we all are users of Nagpur City. So all our information will be on the app of Smart Transit. Now, what will happen is each one of us will download a mobile app called as Smart Transit Nagpur. And that mobile app will help us to purchase tickets using our wallet, like we do on GPay, like we do on PhonePe. Any application that we use, we can purchase the tickets of Metro using the wallet. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. Now, whenever we purchase a ticket from the app, we will get something called as eco token. Now, what is an eco token? An eco token is something which will be a reward for the user if the user is walking or cycling to a station, or if the user is buying a ticket with the help of during the off-peak hours when the metro is running empty. At that time, if the user is buying a ticket, or if the user is reporting maintenance issues, as in if the metro is stuck somewhere, or the metro is going slow, or there's a smell in the metro, or something like that. If the user is doing such things from the app, then he will earn tokens or she will earn tokens. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Perfect. Now, many people might think, like, how will we understand that the person is walking or cycling? So Google Maps has this integration. When you walk, it will count the number of steps. When you cycle, it will count the number of distance that you have cycled. Okay. So based on that, you will get if you're walking or cycling, or you're traveling to the off-peak hours, or you're reporting issues. Now, based on the eco token that you have got, the app will reward you with real amount or real money, and you can purchase things with that amount from partner businesses. Let me give you a small example. If the Nagpur Metro department has tied up with Starbucks, a coffee shop, okay, and it says that on every 100 eco tokens, you get a free coffee. Okay, so if you walk or cycle, you get 10 tokens. If you travel during off-peak hours, you get 20 tokens, and you aggregate those tokens together. As 100 tokens, you can go on a Starbucks and you can order a coffee. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. So Usha ma'am, what we were saying is, if you have downloaded the app Smart City Nagpur or Smart Transit Nagpur, and if you are walking or cycling to the metro station, the app will track that. If you are traveling during off-peak hours to reduce the congestion of the city, the app will track that. If you're reporting any issues with the metro station, the app will track all of that. And based on that, you'll get some tokens, and you can use those tokens to buy things from partner businesses. Are we clear with that? Usha ma'am, I'm clear with that? Oh, I think the screen is not visible. Let me just reshare my screen. I request you to not zoom on your thing, or zoom on your Google Meet. If you want to zoom, just use the magnifier tool that you have on Windows. Click on plus, it will zoom the screen. But if you zoom it on the Gmeet, it will remove the display. Okay. I think someone said it's not clear. Srinivas sir, which point was not clear to you? Did you understand that we have an app called as Nagpur Earn Tokens? Okay. So Srinivas sir, if you download the app and if you say walk from your house to the college every day, okay, that might be 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, and you're not using any transport, as in you're not using any vehicle or you're not using any auto or something like that, the app will track it. That what no, there is no app in existence as of now. But I'm telling you, if you want to develop a smart city transit metro app, which will reward you for such behavior, then this particular app, as in Smart Transit Nagpur, will track your movements. Okay, and based on your movements, it will give you some eco tokens. Are we clear with that? Yeah, and these eco tokens will be available to you if you're walking or cycling, if you're traveling during off-peak hours, or you're reporting maintenance issues. And based on these tokens, you will get rewards based on your performance or based on your behavior towards the environment. Okay, so now how can blockchain be used in this particular thing? Okay, all the transactions that you're doing, as in the buying of the ticket, the cycling or the reward part, all the transactions will be stored on a blockchain, as in everyone will know which user is doing what on the within the blockchain. Second, whatever data you are getting from the blockchain, you can use it for route optimization. As in, if you are able to see that on a particular time, 8 to 9 a.m., a lot of rush is coming from area A to area B. So based on that, you can do some route optimizations. And you can also use smart contracts. Smart contracts are like simple blockchains, but with some functions inside that to automate billing or to do refund or to do reward distribution. So we'll not go into these parts. These are a bit complex parts, but you just understand that you can track all the transactions to ensure accurate billing. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. Next. Vendors will accept the eco tokens with the help of blockchain, and they will use those tokens to update their own blockchain and to update all the other blockchains so that everyone knows which user has earned how many tokens. Are we clear with that? Very nice. Now, let's see what kind of blockchain we are able to do. We are able to store data inside a block. A smart contract is nothing but a block. I'll just rename it to a block because you're able to store whenever. So that's a very good question, Yamukeshwar sir. Each user block is different. That's partially true. Each transaction is a block. As in, if Arya ma'am has taken a ticket from the metro, that's a block. If Vijaya ma'am has spent the eco tokens on Starbucks, that's a block. So every transaction is a block, not every user. Okay, perfect. So whatever transactions you do, they'll be immutable. I think no one can modify that. We already saw why. It's decentralized, as in all the people who are using the blockchain will have the data on their own chain. So it's decentralized. And tokenization, because you are able to distribute tokens to people based on their behavior. Now, let's take a small example. Now, this is the example that we are going to code today. Okay. So the first example that we are going to code is Alice will take a train to work during an off-peak hour. As in, there is a person called as Alice who will take a train. If he takes a train during the off-peak hours, she will earn 10 tokens. Okay. When she's going back home, she cycles to the station. As in, she takes a cycle from her work to the station, and she'll earn 5 tokens. Okay. And then Alice reports a broken bench on the station. She earns 3 more tokens. So Alice has 10 plus 5 plus 3, as in 18 tokens she has, and all these 18 tokens she can aggregate, and then she can use it at a partner cafe to order free coffee. Okay, is that clear to everyone? Yes or no? Yeah. On what basis chain of blocks of on different user transaction? So Jamukeshwar sir, if there is any transaction, as in Alice takes a train to work, that's a block B1, wherein the block will store what? Alice took a train. So the block will be say Alice train. Let's say she took the train at 2 p.m. So that is a block B1. Okay. Now on her way home, she cycles. So Alice cycle, let's say 6 p.m. That's the block B2. Okay. Alice reports a broken bench. So Alice reports broken bench at say 8 p.m. or let's say 5 p.m. That is block B3. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. And then Alice, the last thing, Alice redeems coupon at Starbucks on the weekend. That's another block B4. So this is how the blockchain will look like. The first block, second block, third block, fourth block. If there are other users, their blocks will come in between. Okay. Now, Jamukeshwar sir will not go into the decryption encryption part because that is far away on the scope of this chain or the scope of this session, because most of the people are not clear with what encryption decryption is. Just to give you a small outlook, whenever a block will be created for Alice, it will be created based on her own private key. Okay, so if she gets the block, she can use the private key of her own stored on her particular machine to decrypt the block, while others will not have her private key, so others cannot decrypt the block. But others can only view the hash of the block, as in H1 they can view H2, they can view H3, and they can view H4. Based on that, they will be able to know that the blockchain is not tampered with. Are we clear with that? Perfect. Thank you. How to identify the user? So, Mohan sir, if you as a person, let me just replace Alice with Mohan for now. Okay. So if Mohan takes a train ride, then this particular block, this entire block, as a block B1 will be given to you. Okay. And the hash will also be given to all the users. But because it's your block, only you can decrypt the block and you can identify that this block is for you. But no one else in the entire chain can know that block B1 belongs to which particular user. But they will know about the hash. So our main aim is not to disclose the identity of the user, but the main aim is to make sure that the blockchain is never modified. Are we clear with that? Okay, so let's just take a small use case, and then if you know about Bitcoin, right? And you know Bitcoin transactions are private transactions. No one knows who has made the transaction to whom, but the entire chain is transparent, as in you know that all the transactions are immutable and all the transactions are known to everyone, as in how much how many transactions have been done are known to everyone, but not the internal details of the transaction, as in who has done to whom. That will only be available if the person shares their own key with everyone else. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. Now, Mohan sir, if you are the owner of the blockchain, as in if you are the owner of Bitcoin, then you have the entire key base with you, as in you know the keys of all the users because you have given them the keys. Because you know all the keys, that is why you can see the entire chain of all the users, but not everyone else. Okay? Got the point? Perfect. Now, let's say what is the benefits for of this particular system? That you have a fair and transparent fair system for everyone. You have incentives for good behavior. Uh, for the authorities, you get real-time insights, as in which consumer is a good consumer, which consumer is a bad consumer because of the blockchain, and you also have automated ticketing and rewards, as in people can directly go on their app, they can book the tickets, the app will track the rewards. Okay, and for the environment, because people are getting rewards, they will be able to um, make the environment better because they are more inclined towards getting more rewards. Okay, so Singapore has such a smart system, but they don't have a blockchain based extension which can be integrated inside the chain. Okay, is the example clear with everyone? Yes or no? Perfect. Now I'll just close the theory part over here and we'll go towards the implementation part of this. Just so you know, I will give this entire code to everyone, or this file to everyone, so that you can click and download the file. For now, what we'll do is everyone come on your collab thing that you had started, this particular thing that you have started, and let's see what we can do with that. I'll just minimize the, just make this size smaller so that I can just see your chats. And I'll just keep this tab over here. Okay, now I think most of you are able to see my screen. Yes. Okay, now because we have only 20 minutes left or 15 minutes left, we will not write the code, but I will give the code to you step by step, and you can simply copy the code on your own machines and you can run it. Okay, to make it even more simpler for you, what I'll do is I'll simply okay, just copy the code. It's much easier. I want you all to remove all the code from your machine, as in the code that you have written. Just remove that code. Yeah, I'll share the file. Don't worry on that part. Or I'll share the file right now. It's much easier that way. Thanks, Srinivas sir. I think everyone with the link, copy link, and I'll just paste the link. So I want all of you to just click on this particular link. Okay. If you click on this link, you will get this entire code with you. Okay. If you have got the code in front of your screens, just type yes, and we can move ahead. Very good. Yeah, I think all of you have got the code. Let's move ahead and see what this code is all about. Okay. If you come at the top of the code, I would request you to go to File and click on Save a Copy in Drive. It will save the copy on your Google Drive. Okay. Otherwise, every time you have to use my copy to run the code, just click on Save a Copy in Drive and it will save a copy in your Google Drive. Okay. Just do that and click on and write done, and we can move ahead. Just click on File, Save a Copy in Drive, and if you are done, just write done and we can move ahead. Let's go. I think most of you are done. Bhakti ma'am, Arya ma'am, Narasimha sir, all are done. That's very good. Vijay is done. Very good. Okay. So once you have done, let's just see what this code is basically doing. Okay. A blockchain, as you know, contains a list of chain of blocks. So this blockchain contains self.chain, which is blank, as in this blockchain contains no blocks as of now. The blockchain contains no pending transactions, as in the blockchain has a blank transactions available with it. And it is saying create block the previous hash of 0, because as we know, every blockchain has a previous hash, but the first block don't have any hash, so the previous hash is 0. Okay. Now, what we'll do next is we'll understand what create block does. What create block will do is whatever is the length of the current chain, as in if there are 1 blocks, then the index will be 1 plus 1, as in 2. Then the time is the current time, the transaction is the pending transaction, and the hash is the hash value. Okay. And then what we'll do is we will say whatever is there inside the block, you simply create a hash of that block to get the hash value. And the hash will create a SHA-256 hash of the block. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Very good. So we have done nothing. We have simply created one empty block, that is the first block, and we have found out the hash. Nothing else. This is a simple, plain blockchain. Nothing has been done in the blockchain till now. Now, if you want to add a transaction, what you will do is inside the pending transactions array, as in inside this particular array, you will simply append a transaction. Okay. The transaction, we'll see what the transaction contains, but for the sake of visualization, you remember that the transaction will contain the source, that is X, Y, 500, and 1, 12, 24. Okay. So this is the thing that the transaction will contain, and we'll just add the transaction to the pending blocks. And we will increase the index by 1, which will make sure that the block is added. And we will use a last block, as in what was the last block that was added, because we want to find out the hash of that. So based on that, we will get the self.chain -1, which will get the last block. So there are 4 functions, which is create block, which will create the first block, hash, which will hash the block, add transaction, will just add a transaction, and last block will give the last block. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Very good. So I'm just assuming that you know basics of programming languages. Don't think about this in a lot of depth, as in how to write the single bracket and double bracket. All these things is the syntactical part. The main part is the logic, as in what we're trying to build over here. Okay. Then this was the blockchain. Now, on our example, we're using a public transport blockchain. So inside this blockchain, we will have the blockchain itself, and we'll also have users. Okay. The users will contain a dictionary of balances, as in it will contain the amount of balance every user has. Okay. So if the user, if we want to create a user, we'll call the function register user. This function will register one user. It can be Alice, Bob, Usha, Aparna, Srinivas. It can be any user. This user, if it is not currently registered, it will register the user successfully, as it will not register it. And currently, when we start, the user will have no tokens, as in the tokens will be blank. Then, if the user has purchased a ticket, so what we do is we create a transaction, as in the type is ticket purchase, the user ID is the user ID, and the amount is the cost that the user has paid for a ticket. So this will be one transaction, as we saw previously, that which is the type. It's a block which contains a ticket purchase of the type. User ID is the user. It may be Usha, it might be Srinivas, it may be Aparna, it might be Komal. The amount that the user paid for the ticket and the time of the purchase. This is how you store a particular block. Then we will say self.blockchain.add transaction. This add transaction will call this function and it will just add a transaction to the blockchain. Okay. Then if I want to reward the user, what I will do is, if the user is not available, means the user not registered. But if the user is available, we will add a token to the user, as in if the current tokens are 0, we'll say tokens plus the new tokens, and the user will get more balance. And now the transaction will go like previously transaction was ticket purchase. Now the transaction is reward. As in we have rewarded the user with some tokens. And then we'll add the transaction on the blockchain, and based on that, we'll get the particular block. And when we say get user balance, we will just simply get the balance of the user, or the tokens of the user. Okay. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. If any point is not clear, then just let me know. I'll just repeat that thing once again. Okay. Next part is, very good. Next part is, now we have created all the functions for the code. As in we know what functions will do what. Let's test the code. We'll create a public transport blockchain with the public transport constructor over here. Once you have created the blockchain, you have to register users. So I'm registering user Alice, registering user Bob. What you can do is, you can say transport system will register user, let's say Ram. So now you have 3 users, Alice, Bob, and Ram. Okay. Are we clear with that? Yeah. Then we have said transport system dot purchase ticket. The transport system file, or the transport system constructor object, will have a function called as purchase ticket. Alice has purchased a ticket of 5 rupees, Bob of 3 rupees. So just for the sake of our class, we'll say transport system purchase Ram has purchased a ticket of say 10 rupees. So now there are 3 tickets purchased, one by Alice, one by Bob, one by Ram. Okay. Now let's say Alice was a very good user who has traveled on off-season times, who has cycled and so on. So we are rewarding the Alice user by 10 tokens and rewarding the Bob user by 5 tokens. So see how many blocks are stored in the blockchain. Block number 1, block number 2, block number 3, block number 4, block number 5. I'll just reward the user Ram with say 50 tokens, because Ram might have cycled more, Ram might have walked more. Based on that, we'll get the blocks. So now you have 6 blocks, one for ticket purchase of Alice, ticket purchase of Block, ticket purchase of Ram, a reward user of Alice, Bob, and Ram. And when you say mine block, the mine block function will simply create the blocks, and it will just say new block is mined. Mining is not a concern right now. Just understand this. There's a function called as mine block, which will add new blocks. Now what will we do is, we will check out the balance of Alice, check out the balance of Bob, and we'll also check out the balance of Ram. So I'll say Ram's balance. I'll say, okay. With that knowledge, just click on run, and you will be able to see that user Alice registered successfully, Bob registered, Ram registered. Ticket purchased by Alice for 5, by Bob for 5, and for Ram for 10. And we rewarded the user. And based on that, we got the balance of Alice, balance of Bob, balance of Ram. Now that is the small part. The bigger part is that we have now got a blockchain with the index 1, which has this particular block structure. And with index 2, we have some transactions, as in the first transaction was ticket purchased by Alice. So this is one particular transaction. Second transaction, ticket purchased by Bob. Second transaction, third transaction, so on. Okay. So what we did is we simply created two blocks. One block was to create a transport system, and second block where we did all of these transactions inside a single block. Okay. But now, if you want to create multiple blocks, what you can do is you can simply call mine block every time. As in, I just call mine block over here, mine block over here, mine block over here, and every time I'll just call mine block. Based on that, I will get so many blocks available inside the blockchain. Okay. So see, we have done so many transactions, and we are saying mine block. Mine block will add a block to the blockchain. Yes, or no. So blocks are here for transaction or for registration. Correct. So while registration, we are simply adding the user, while when we say purchase ticket, mine block, it will just create this block and add to the blockchain. So the calling of the mine block function is very much required. If you do mine block, you'll get a new block. Now don't run the code as of now, just understand what we have done. As we can see, the first block is the blank block where there is nothing, and there is a hash called as 2f, something like that. If you Control C copy the hash and Control F to find the hash, you will see that the block 1 has a hash and block 2 previous hash is the same hash, means they are linked together. No, we have written the code for mine block, as you can see over here. It will simply create a block with the hash value. Okay. And if you see the first hash that we have given, it is linking the hash 2. Now the hash of the block 2, this is this block. If you copy this block over here, you will get the same hash at block number 3. So see, block number 2 hash is stored at block number 3 previous hash. And so on. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Very good. So what I want you to do simply is, you have this code available with you. For every transaction that you do, purchase ticket, do block.mineblock. As in, just do transfer system.mineblock. Then make one more ticket purchase, mine block. How the blocks are added inside the blockchain, and at the end we'll get all the blocks available over here. Are we able to understand this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That's very good. Yeah. So can I just extend the session by 5 more minutes? Is it possible, ma'am?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So the second example that I wanted to just make you visualize is, we saw that we were getting tokens for buying things, right? So we got 10 tokens to Alice, 5 tokens to Bob, and 50 tokens to Ram. So we have got such number of tokens to each of the person. Now, what we are doing is, we are using a marketplace. As in, we saw that because of good reward, because of good behavior, we will be able to get the users to buy things from the shops. So we are saying, if you have 5 tokens, you can get a coffee. If you have 3 tokens, you can get a snack. Or if you have 10 tokens, you can get a ride discount, as in you can get a discount on the metro. So list items will simply list these items. This is not a blockchain, it's just a simple class. When you purchase an item, during that purchase, if the item that you are requesting is available and the balance that you want is less than the if the balance is not sufficient, it will say that the particular transaction cannot be performed because you have less amount of balance. If both the cases are okay, As in, if you have the item available and you have that much balance available with you, then the item or the particular user will add one more block called as item purchase. Okay. And once you purchase the item, you will get which user, which item, what cost, and at what time. So this entire information is stored on the blockchain. And if you say add transaction, you add the transaction, it'll print out that you've added the you have purchased the item for that many tokens. So we just demonstrate that as well. In the marketplace, we have created a new marketplace. We just list the items. So Alice wants to buy a coffee. Okay. So see, Alice has a balance of I think 10, as we saw over here. Okay. And the coffee, the cost of a coffee is say 5 units. So Alice can buy a coffee. But Bob wants to get a ride discount, as in Bob wants to get a discount in the transport system. But Bob's balance over here is only 5 tokens. Okay. So if Bob wants to get a discount on that particular ride tokens, he'll not be able to do it because his balance is not sufficient. So when you say transport system.mine block, it will mine the block and it will tell you if the person is able to purchase the item or not. And based on that, you will get the balance of both the users. I'll just add 2-3 more blocks over here. I'll say Ram wants to get coffee. Ram wants to get ride discount, and say Ram wants to get snack. So because Ram has a higher balance, he will be able to get all the tokens. But if Bob doesn't have that much balance, so Bob will not be able to get those many tokens, or it will not be able to get those many rewards. Okay. Now, after every purchase item, you can simply say transport system.mine block to create a new block. So once you're saying purchase item, you can simply say mine block, mine block, mine block, and mine block. And at the end of the entire blockchain, you can simply use the same code that we have added previously for displaying the blockchain from that above code. This one. And you will be able to get the blockchain printed with all the blocks available. Okay. So let me just go through it quickly. We created a marketplace class with all the items. We listed the items. We said purchase item. And based on the purchasing of the item, if the balance is okay, then the item will be purchased and the tokens will be reduced and a block will be added. What we are doing is Alice buys coffee and we say mine block, it will mine the block and so on. Okay. So let's see what happens when we run the code. As we can see at the top, we say coffee is 3 tokens, snack is coffee is 5, snack is 3, ride is 10. Okay. So Alice purchased coffee because she can do it. Bob cannot purchase ride discount because Bob has a balance of only 3 tokens and ride discount is 10 tokens. But Ram can purchase a coffee, Ram can purchase ride discount, Ram can purchase snack. So at the end of the transaction, because Alice had previously 10 tokens, she bought a coffee, she now has 5 tokens. Bob balance was not altered because he wanted something which is more than what the number of tokens he has. And Ram has a balance of 5 tokens. Now you can see the blockchain previously contained ticket purchase, ticket purchase, ticket purchase from the last case, reward, reward, reward from the last case. And it also contains now item purchased by Alice of coffee of 5 amount. Then a blank block because Bob was not able to buy this. Then item purchase of Ram of coffee of 5 blocks and so on. Okay. That is how you are able to add multiple blocks inside the blockchain. Okay. Are we clear with that? Yes or no? Yeah. So if you are not able to follow along on the code part, that's not a problem. the link that I have given you for the code. This is the same link. Just click on the link, you'll get the new code available with you, and you can simply run the code to get the output. Okay, so I think we have about a minute left for questions, but we can extend that to 5 more minutes. So if you have any queries, you can simply ask me on the chat window, and we can complete the session. Yeah, so Sonal ma'am, it all depends upon the designer. If while mining the block over here, let's say here, okay, if you see if the self.blockchain or transaction is blank, as in the transaction has not yet been added, so you don't add the block. Okay, so if you add a condition over here, if length of self dot, I'm so sorry, I'm just to share my screen. Should I screen share? So see, Sonal ma'am, if over here where you are saying mine block, you have simply added the block to the blockchain, right? Now, if you add a condition over here, if it's giving you C, if this blockchain is 0, and then there is no chain to mine, you simply return. That is, you don't add the block to the blockchain. Okay, so Jambukeshwar sir, that's a very good question. As in, if the entire chain has, yeah, sure, RMM. I'll just share my details with you. I just send my phone number and my email ID. You can simply drop me a line after the session, and we can connect later. Yeah, so I think Jambukeshwar sir was asking if the user transaction is independent, what's the use of chaining those blocks? So Jambukeshwar sir, even if the user transactions are different, then to maintain transparency and to maintain traceability inside the chain, you need to connect those blocks, because if anyone tries to tamper with the chain, because the blockchain has this hash connection, they will not be able to tamper with the chain. Are you clear with that? Yes, correct. With respect to application, it is available. Okay, so next question was with Arya ma'am. Arya ma'am, I have given my details. If you have any queries, just drop me a WhatsApp or an email on this number. We can we'll connect after the session as well. Next we have Paul Miller, sir. Do you recommend a hardware or blockchain project? So see, if you have a smaller project, as in your BE level or your MTech level or a doctoral level research, you can always use Collab. Or if you want to go into smart contracts, or if you want to go into, let's say, the Ethereum kind of a blockchain, there is an ID called as Remix, REMIX, Remix ID. You can simply go on that ID. It will give you some level code, but then you have to learn how to work with that. It's a very complex tool, but if you're interested, you can always do that particular Remix ID. But for the sake of your what you can say research, or for the sake of a smaller project, always you can use Collab to code blockchains. Alok sir. So if you have a lot of data as well, you can use a simple blockchain like I have shown you on the screen, because this blockchain will work for say 10,000, 20,000 records. For a bulkier block, there is a concept called if anyone has any queries, please ask.
Thank you, Ashwin Balani sir, for your informative and practical oriented session. It is very interesting, and I hope every participant has enjoyed it a lot by performing it. They have learned the things about how the blockchain is being working, how the blockchains are created, and how the mining is being done. So, thank you very much for your informative session, and we look forward for your session on 6th also. Thank you, the participants, all the participants. The session, tomorrow's session will be from 6 to 9. Today we have the inaugural function, that's why it has been extended to 9:30. So thank you all the participants. Thank you very much, sir, for your informative
Thank you so
session.
much, ma'am. Thank you all the participants. Have a good night. And thank you for doing the code with me.
All
Thank
the
you.
participants are requested to fill the feedback form in the chat box also, and it is been given in the group also. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.